Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to today's almost one and only bloody topic. See, if this was a drama channel, we would have plenty of topics today, wouldn't we? This entire week would have been quite the rich assortment, to put it mildly. Both from the disgusting and the puke-inducing to the merely just terrible and awful. But frankly, even the Christian thing, I would have a hard time turning
Yeah, I
into
forgot
a
about that.
subject about video gaming.
Uh, I mean, hey, you could do it. I mean, look at Asmongold. Like, and other content creators are just fucking churning out content for the Blizzard thing. Like, talk about, talk about like just milking it. We could do that easily with GW for even longer, I'd wager.
See, certainly there are things to talk about. I mean, He-Man was a whole thing, though at one point negative marketing does actually come into effect. And we might touch a little bit upon the Blizzard thing, because that entire thing seems to have devolved into simply just an internal power struggle at this point, frankly, more so than an actual lawsuit for genuine misdeeds, which is unfortunate. But then again,
I mean,
Californian legal system
we
being used against a Californian company.
yeah, we literally talked about that in the ArchCast, where I even said like, I mean, the whole thing seems fishy, and there's 0 point to really buy into it because 9 times out of 10, these things are power struggles and power plays, and people lie about stuff just to get clicks and or not clicks, but basically fire other people, and it works.
Attention and power.
It works.
Like any lawsuit that begins with upper management is white and male, it's like, okay, I see where we're going here. But more importantly, considering my own backstory, is of course what's been going on with GW and text-to-speech device. Now, to be clear as well here, as far as I am aware, text-to-speech device and the crew were not given any sort of cease and desist or any word or mention from GW, and I don't think they were contacted for the animations thing either. So the decision to shut down appears to be one made entirely by their crew. Though, obviously, it is inadvertently and as a result of GW's actions. There's also been a fair few little attempts to try and counteract this, though I question how effective any of it will be, frankly. But let's just begin with the obvious fact here. Like, this is something that we saw coming 4 or 5 years ago, practically.
Yeah, we did mention it in 2016 when we first met, when we were playing World of Warships.
YouTube has been an interesting thing, and well, luckily I seem to have been proven right in most of my suspicions.
You know what's
Luckily,
funny?
quote unquote.
I recall you saying that I hope I'm wrong, and I'm like, it's probably gonna happen. He's like, yeah, but it might not happen. Like, maybe Warhammer will get better. Maybe we can unify the community and work to, make sure that GW doesn't do this. Ah, the naivety, the innocence.
That was the thing too, because one of the strange things with the Warhammer and 40k community around all of this is that there hasn't really been much of a community at all. Obviously, there's the fandom that congregate in certain places, in hobby stores, in certain Facebook groups, etc. But as for an actual YouTube content creator community, there essentially hasn't been one. Every part of it has been very insular. And the reason why I started the community spotlight thing back in the day was specifically to try and bring up more content creators and begin to network amongst these content creators. Because eventually, when something would happen, something would come down like it has, the only possible hope we would have of doing anything worthwhile is if we had a group of people that were all able to make videos, all able to make good, thoughtful content, and explain why this was a negative thing, and why actions needed to be taken. The thing is, I never got any traction with that whatsoever. All of the people I brought on, and I continuously tried too to like keep a little bit of contact with them, send a message over Discord, keep chatting with them. None of them were ever interested, which is interesting because you look at so many of the other communities on YouTube too, and they're surprisingly closely knit. I wonder what was the thing that did it in ours, though. Why it just didn't occur, I guess.
It boils down to an individual point, I think. Because certain communities cultivate certain types of personalities. And with the Warhammer community, you can see, at least on the YouTuber side of things, that it's not only just insular, but it's very self-centric. Everybody's kind of in their own little world, doing their own little thing, and there is ugly things going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of, egos at play. There's a lot of jealousy. Like when I met you, we did the podcast for Total War Warhammer. One of the Warhammer lore channels I brought on for that podcast, besides Arch, was Sotek, because I knew him back then. In fact, I knew him before I met Arch, before Sotek made up all that stuff about Arch and said, like, he's the big bad guy, for clicks. Like, a lot of the things that happened behind the scenes with that when bringing you on, because people kept requesting your name, there was an annoyance from Sotek. There was genuine dislike for you, even though he never met you. And not just Sotek, other Warhammer channels. There was that one other Warhammer channel that I remember he had like the boxes of the units, and he was doing Warhammer Fantasy lore. This was during Total War Warhammer, before it was coming out, right? And I remember he was doing Warhammer lore, and he sort of blew up, but then you exploded past it. Right? You exploded past him, and you were like 40,000, he was like at 20,000. Like, bam, like overnight almost. And I remember how, I used to watch that guy because I was trying to study more about Warhammer because I was a huge Total War fan and I wanted to learn more about Warhammer. I was also trying to get into Warhammer at that time. And I remember seeing, like, him just make jabs at you. I don't remember his name anymore because he just sort of disappeared. He gave up on Warhammer lore and stuff like that when he couldn't, trend high enough or whatever, or become the big dominant one. And what's weird in this case, in this specific case, in the Warhammer side of things, was the jealousy between everyone, the dislike, and because a lot of people didn't like you, Arch. You grew fast, and you exploded during the Warhammer Fantasy Total War Warhammer game, because you were not only a fan of Total War, you're also a well-versed person in the Warhammer Fantasy lore stuff. So you're able to explain a lot of the stuff behind it and get people excited and interested in that. And that's sort of what saw Arch's massive growth into popularity. But yeah, and ever since then, there's always been a lot of disdain for Arch. He's always been hated. The Warhammer community, as far as YouTubers go, is not a good one. I can't say, I've never been super involved in the BattleTech one, but from when I met a few of them, I met Tex. I only talked to him briefly, super briefly, but he seemed like an actually pretty decent individual, and he was actually very nice when he reached out. So yeah, that's a thing. I never saw that with Warhammer. Not a single one of them. Maybe in the case of Arch, it's just it's weird.
I don't know much about the other behind the scenes stuff that you're mentioning. Only thing I really know is that okay, some people didn't like me. All right, and I can attribute that to perhaps catching onto the wave, I guess, which is okay, that's fair enough. But even so, beyond that, you have a lot of people right now, for example, trying to do different things. And by the way, as well, if anyone is looking for something they can try and do to push back against GW on this, I would recommend checking out Maka, or The Outer Circle on YouTube, his channel. He had an idea where he wanted to try and start a real letter campaign, this physical letter, and send them back used sprues, plastic sprues, old editions of White Dwarf, stuff like that. Send them something physical that they have to deal with somehow and have to take notice of somehow. Like, in my opinion, I think GW is entirely aware of what they're doing, and no amount of pushback is going to get them to change course now. But if you want to do anything, his approach is probably the most effective one. But again, there's just no unity. Like, everyone is doing their own little thing, which isn't going to amount to anything. This is going to be tiny little disparate efforts, which will have no real effect, I believe. And the time to create these alliances, sadly, I suspect, has already passed. I don't really know. Like, right now, what I would say too is, like, my theory on this, as I mentioned in the video I made, is that GW entirely knows what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're not sitting there looking at them cornering the market on animations, deleting all of these videos, getting rid of all of these major content creators, and thinking, oh, nobody's going to react to this. No, they know there's going to be a reaction. But they view the plastic side of the hobby as de facto obsolete. They don't want to be selling plastic figurines in 10 years' time, when people can probably download templates from 2 or 3 dozen different sources and print out ready-made models. Already, the recasting, copying, and imitation market is growing way quicker than GW can handle. They want to move on to other things, and they want to cash out on it now. And right now, the best way to get people to buy into their subscription service is the animations, because the other stuff they're offering is painting tutorials, battle reports, and corporate lore. Nobody's interested. But the animations, that is a big deal. The only thing that could possibly have made them change course away from this would have been a truly major and strident backlash that really hit their sales. Because again, they want to cash out now. If you could affect that, maybe you could get them to reverse course. But I don't think we have the unity to do it. Now, that doesn't mean that 40k and Warhammer is going to die, because in fact it's going to happen to it what happened to Warhammer. People will simply just continue doing their thing, playing in local gaming clubs, playing with older editions, etc., perhaps getting alternative sources of models, and so on and so on. And maybe, in the future, we'll see a resurgence, a la BattleTech's current resurgence, for example.
Yeah, BattleTech actually. That's a bit of positive news. About a year ago, a couple years ago, I backed the BattleTech campaign to basically re-kickstart it again, the clan invasion, and that took off massively. It over-exceeded Catalyst Games Lab's projections, and the fandom's actually seen a massive resurgence, with especially a big lore channel exploding, kind of the same way of Arch. A person by the name of Black Pants Legion, who is doing lore on the BattleTech IP. And you're seeing a massive resurgence into this IP that's been fairly dilapidated, fairly used and abused by, was it WizKids or whatever, and various other companies that tossed it around after FASA lost it. But Catalyst Games Lab seems to be pushing it in the right direction and actually adhering to fans. In fact, they have a very different approach to fans than GW. For instance, Black Pants Legion, the person I just mentioned, is now, I believe, was made a canon character in lore to honor him for all of his fan works that he's done for the IP. A thing that you never would see from GW. It's a stark contrast, but you can see, like, one definitely does care about their fandom. And that's kind of a benefit of being a niche. When you have a niche, you kind of have to, foster that community. You're not as easy to throw away as well. In the case of GW, most people are whales and they just consume the product anyways. Like, it's definitely got a mentality of, like, people will bitch and moan, a lot of them will, but very few of them have the willpower to actually stop because they've already invested. I've already seen it in some of the forums when I did some looking, and a lot of them are like, I'm gonna not buy their stuff for a month, but then I'm gonna go back to doing it. It's like that, they're not gonna learn. Nothing changes, and a real boycott never works because there's too many casuals. Like, it never works. Every time it's tried, it normally fails. That's why you're right about the Outer Circle, mentioning him. That's a better approach because it creates a hassle for them. But even then, you're talking about, you need to make a hassle for, like, the execs and suits, and you can't really do that, like, any sort of legal way. They don't really give a crap about the people on the ground floor. The ground floor will complain, but they don't care. I've worked for megacorps that do stuff like that, where, yeah, sure, you can make a hassle for them to dispose of all these things, but, like, at the end of the day, like, they don't care about the people on the ground floor at all.
That is true. Then again, you do know that fan outrage can have an effect, and on much larger corporations than GW as well, as we've seen with Disney. But the difference is Disney wants to foster a fandom. As roundabout and retarded as they are doing it, they are trying to create a fan base for their version of Star Wars, because they're not interested in having you just watch the movies. They are selling a franchise. They are selling theme park tickets. They are selling cinema movies. They're selling TV series. They're selling toys, figurines, etc., costumes. Whereas GW is currently just in this setting where they themselves think it's going to go obsolete with the models, and they're trying to move over onto other stuff. That, I think, is the reason why we're seeing so much of the other nonsense as well, like the 40k amoebas, little derpy things, like the action figure toys, all of the other just random ass stuff that they're slapping the 40k logo on these days, because they're trying to move away, and they're trying to replace the fandom with another one. They don't want us right now. They want a new fandom, a wider fandom, willing to buy their plastic toys rather than their plastic models.
It definitely does look that way. And you could definitely see that. I wouldn't be surprised if GW is trying to position itself in such a way that it's a tantalizing IP to buy, so that maybe a larger corporation will buy them up and they can cash out very quickly.
I saw someone in the chat mention that, and I was going to bring it up. It is entirely possible, because what you might want to do as a corporation, if you are looking to be picked up and bought out, is to maximize your profits in the short term. Because that way you can essentially come to them with a report card and go, hey, look at us, look at this. Our customer engagement, that means sales essentially, has shot into the roof. Our earnings are huge. We're amazingly profitable. And this is our expected growth. And what they'll do then is they'll take that hike that they're creating, and then they'll just point a line straight up and go like, this is what we think will happen. Fingers crossed behind their backs. That is entirely possible. And you got to remember too, their new executive comes from Hasbro. The thing is, executives at that level don't switch companies for no reason. Like, this isn't something that just happens. You don't quit your job as a high-level exec in the largest toy company in the goddamn world to go to work someplace in Nottingham without a wider agenda.
Yeah, there's definitely some bigger things at play. We can only speculate as to why, though.
That is true. There's also, because here's the thing too, because you got to remember they are absolutely cutting off their advertising. That's why I keep repeating the fact that this seems to be a short-term ploy. Now, TTS, I think that was probably outside of their expectations, because I don't think they would ever have gone after TTS. GW is very much so trying to have their cake and eat it too right now, where they're trying to set themselves up into a situation where they can enjoy as much of the benefits of fan animations by making them official as possible, whilst also kind of being like, yeah, you can't technically own this, but they were never going to go after TTS. But he's kind of forced the issue. Now, what does disappoint me a little bit is that he didn't force the issue in the direction of Games Workshop. He kind of just, or he and the team kind of just quit and said like, okay, we're moving on to something else, which is fine and entirely within their prerogative and probably the wise move to do as well. But man, if anyone could have actually created a unified source of resistance against GW, I think text-to-speech would have been the only actual possible one, frankly.
Yeah, it's assuming they had balls to begin with.
Well, see, I don't want to say it like that either, because the thing is, having balls, right, fair enough, but it is a major thing to do. You're basically setting yourself up to be the lead figure in a revolt against the company that provides you with your primary product. Like, that is a lot of hassle, it's a lot of organization, and it's a lot of heat.
They're also one of the most protected of any of us. Well, us. I'm not even a part of this crappy thing. You. I don't want to degrade myself to being a Warhammer content creator. Ugh. But, yeah, of all the people, they're the most protected because they actually have this beautiful thing called parody. And satire is got a lot of protections. On YouTube, it's often disputed a lot. It's one of the most safest things you could possibly have in your defense. Because for a living, I do anti-piracy work, and I kill, YouTube channels. A lot of them. But most of them just, steal stuff. I've never seen a parody of my client's work because it's not very funny. But, it's one of the things where it's like, if it was a parody, like, you wouldn't really touch it. You just sort of move on past it because it's not really doing it. Like, it's satire. And you can't. Parody's protected. It's under fair use.
That is the thing that did surprise me to some extent too, because again, if anyone would be safe, it would be text-to-speech device. Because I can't... Again, I don't know the laws in Sweden. Like, I'm pretty sure they're based in Sweden, etc. Maybe Sweden has some completely backwards-ass laws on that, but parody's usually pretty much a blanket excuse to do almost anything.
Yeah, on YouTube they'd be safe. It wouldn't matter. Because YouTube's based in the United States. And that's technically safe under fair use.
No, that's another thing, too. Like, my protection would be fair use. Like, I would have to argue, like, no, this is very transformative, I'm not competing with you. And there comes the interpretation, because GW could then say, oh, but we're making lore videos too. And then I would have to argue the point, like, okay, you make 5-minute commercials, I make fucking 40-hour series, screw you.
And it's interpretive, it's not even the exact thing to begin with.
But, see, the thing is, again, like, I entirely understand. I genuinely do. They are in a position where there is a potential legal threat. They have an audience that's probably going to be interested in the next thing they do as well, and they don't want to make the hassle with it. Okay, fine. Why should you? Because that's the thing too. It's very easy for us to sit here and be like, okay, they should have done this, but at the end of the day, the sheer amount of effort and shit you have to go through to do this, and I know, I tried to start a community around this. I tried to network with other content creators. I tried to create an alliance. I spent a lot of time doing that, and it gained me and the community absolutely nothing. In fact, it cost me quite a lot in the end.
They all threw you under the bus, every last one of them, pretty much. Save for, like,
yes.
What, the Outer Circle? The only other one you'd spotlighted?
No, a couple. But yeah, like, I get it's a lot of work. And I'm not going to do it, because I can't do the unification either. Because the only way this was ever going to happen was if you had a truly unified front, which I just... Like, who's going to lead that unified front, if not text-to-speech at this point? Like, who?
It's all about money. Like, they're going to go where money's easy. And honestly, leaving is a great move, because you'll get sympathy money. Like, I imagine the sympathy bucks are coming in real nice right now. Gotta be spectacular for them. That if I was them, and I was looking for cash out, like, now would be the perfect time. Because now you can literally throw it all on GW and say that, oh, it's them, we're going to go do other things. And then it's like, yes, watch the money roll in. Because it will. It always does. These events are always extremely perfect opportunities to not only do that, but to also get out of something if you don't want to do it anymore.
I mean, I suppose. I mean, your logic isn't wrong, but...
It's exactly what I would do. It's an easy way to cash out, while also not having to take any of the blame.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's just it's such a remarkably uncharitable thing to say. See, this is why I bring on Kyle, because he says these things, and I'm like, you're not wrong.
Yeah, people say that to me a lot. They was like, you're not wrong. He's got a point. But it's kind of, like, it's a bit rude, but it's
very rude. But at the same time, I can't really argue the logic.
I'm just looking at it from my point of view, if I was in their shoes, knowing what I know about that group of people.
Apparently, Swedish Dunadan in the chat says that their satire laws are quite solid, so I guess I'll take his word for it.
Who?
Or just a person in the chat that his name's Swedish Dunadan, so I'm going to be assuming that he knows something about Swedish satire law.
We just doing it in.
And again, like I would assume so as well, because satire tends to be quite heavily protected. The question is also though, like, it's happened. It's over. I don't think there's any way to stop this. GW is a shit company. Everyone knows it's a shit company. And a boycott. Let's talk about that too. Like the idea of a boycott, right? Because that's been thrown around a lot as well. First and foremost, I entirely agree with you in that a boycott is almost entirely pointless because there is a lot of casuals. If you have a market with a lot of new or relatively uninitiated or uninterested parties, which GW is absolutely starting to have, it is becoming a mainstream hobby, then a boycott is almost impossible to enforce. But beyond that as well, let's say that you didn't have the casual issue, right? You actually had a fairly small, fairly insular community, which you could potentially get to organize around a boycott, right? Theoretically.
Yeah.
Who is going to organize it? Because right now we've got different petitions from like every content creator.
Which is pointless and divisive. Like, that is literally stupid. Like, Balrak with his piss poor attempt with like shut the fuck up. Like, if
it's doing something.
It's not doing shit. If you really want to make a difference, you guys need to fucking unify. Put aside your petty grievances, Valrak, and actually work with other people. Don't let your ego get the better of you again.
The thing is, I'm not going to blame him for that. Right? Everyone knows I'm not the biggest fan of Valrak for a few things, but I'm not going to blame him for that. Like,
I will for you.
There is no organization. Like, who is he going to work with? Like, who is he going to put aside his grievances with and work with? Because I'm not going to fucking organize this. You know, I am not in a position to organize this.
You did it last time, and you know what everyone did? They just laughed at you and hoped it failed with your letter.
Yeah, that was last time.
What are they gonna do? Like, nothing. Like, what are they gonna... Nothing. They're all sellouts anyways. It's all a quick attempt to save face. If I was in Valrak's shoes, knowing what I know about Valrak, this is a very clear move to be like, look, I'm doing something. But it's not really doing anything, so, you know, whatever. It's one way to save face to your audience, while at the same time not actually getting into under GW's skin. A good move, to be sure, diplomatically speaking.
That is also why I would argue Macca's approach more so, because the thing is, if you send them emails and you don't do an organization around it, you don't like have a mass of it, you don't write like a proper letter, etc., you're not gonna get anybody's attention on it. If you start sending them plastic garbage like used sprues or old Games Workshop magazines, that's going to at least get someone to notice, even though it's probably just going to be the poor shit on the floor who's like, where am I supposed to put all of this crap? You know, it's something. It's not much, but it's something.
Yes.
But yeah, a boycott, it's not the thing. The only thing that could have done this would have been a massive outcry, and I don't think we're going to see it happening. And what's worse is, yeah, whilst we may be divided, the other side is not divided. Because let me actually see if I can find this here, because I thought this was very, 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 very interesting indeed. Yes, here it is. You can bring this up on screen. I'll message to you. The Guardian, of all places, ran a puff piece on GW.
Puff. Stupid ads.
That's some interesting bloody timing right there. A super left-wing organization newspaper runs a puff piece on GW just as the community creates outcry about them. Huh. That's fucking mystifistical, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of what we already knew, though. Like, it's what you... it's one of those things where it's like we've mentioned this before. Like they have their connections, and this whole play is actually kind of obvious. It does lead me to believe though that you know, they might actually trying to be puffing themselves up to be bought out. Because look at how good we are. Please eat us.
Potentially.
I mean, I saw some people saying woke hammer income. It's already been woke. Warhammer's been woke for a while. Like they went woke ages ago. Like pretty early on too. It's just people are finally waking up to it because a lot of people are like, no, like I have a good friend, but I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to dox them. But like I have a good friend who is into Warhammer and he likes your content and he didn't want to get involved in this kind of stuff. He didn't like looking at this stuff, the drama and all that stuff, and I don't blame him, right? Whatever. But it's gotten to the point now where he's like, it's so bad, like I can't not look at it. Like it's everywhere now. And they're just done with it. They're leaving. They're packing up shop and leave. Not a lot of people can actually say that they're gonna do that though. But it's one of those things where it's like there comes a point in which there's a threshold where people break, and everyone has their own threshold. And you're starting to see a lot of those people break that threshold now, especially with the recent events. Because while TTS is said some really interesting stuff on Twitter in the past, one thing is for certain: people liked their work, regardless of what you think of their stuff, anyways, or who they are. People liked it, and a lot of them, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Him packing up and leaving. And a lot of people are like, well, now I want to leave. Now, I don't think it's going to be a lot of people, but I do think that we're going to start seeing that threshold break for a lot more people if they continue this up. Remember that same threshold was crossed with the end times, where people were burning their armies and stuff like that. I remember that.
That pissed off a lot of people.
It pissed
and
off
for good reason.
Literally, them burning their armies was like, you might as well. It's a waste. Like, what's it gonna do? Take up space? Like, it's useless now. It is garbage. It is just plastic garbage because GW themselves told people they don't sell stories. They sell we sell what do they say? Miniatures. Basically, what they meant to say is we just sell plastic. We sell you plastic crap, and there's some like text assigned to it. We don't really care about any of it. Hell with you. Buy our plastic. That's always what GW's about. They've never cared about their fans. They've never cared about their IPs. They just want you to buy their overpriced plastic garbage. Technically, it's a resin, but whatever. I like to call it plastic because it's derogatory towards them, and it makes me feel better.
Never, I don't think. Like, I absolutely think there was a time when they really did care about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but those people are gone.
Yes, those
they were gone when
probably...
I got started to get into Warhammer, because I met you when I started getting into Warhammer. Like, the people that were there who cared about Warhammer have been gone for a very long time. Same thing for, like, Activision Blizzard. The people that cared are gone. They left a long time ago. Sad.
It does go to show, though, again, that you are seeing that's the thing, like, because again, only thing that could have helped, massive outcry, we didn't get it, the other side has. When the Guardian is running defense for GW, shit's over. Like, all of the things we thought were happening, yes, they were actually all happening. It is simply just the reality of the thing. And the chat mentioned something very interesting that I wanted to mention as well, namely that GW was actually in talks with Hasbro several years ago. I remember this briefly, where apparently that fell through, and I don't know why, but the chat seems to think that is because Hasbro thought they weren't profitable enough, which I could absolutely see, because Hasbro has a lot of very profitable and very, very, very good franchises. They might indeed scoff quite loudly at a little plastic manufacturer from Nottingham. But, well, GW seems to be trying to maximize their short-term profit right now. Maybe, just maybe, they learned their lesson.
I mean, I bet that's why the first end times happened to begin with. I wouldn't be
Again,
surprised.
I have said it before and I will say it again. Warhammer did not die. Warhammer was murdered. It was. I'm presuming it simply just wasn't like profitable enough, and so they decided to not support it, not back it up, not do anything with it, and just basically kill it. Because that is what happened. Like Warhammer was murdered. It did not die a natural death by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope. That's always strange to me because like I've seen a lot of people. I'm just reminiscing, not because of anybody in chat, but like the amount of people that are just like, whatever, I'm just gonna buy it. Like, I mean, that's their right to do it, but it's like I'm always baffled by the reasoning behind it. It's like, yeah, but it's still Warhammer, though. It's like, is it? Like the reason why I stopped buying Warhammer Fantasy boxes because I was trying to build my first Skaven army. I got the Ankle Bone and Bone Ripper. You know, I got them put together, and I was starting to put Skavens together. God damn it, there's so fucking many of them. They're kind of annoying, but and I was like, I want to get into Warhammer. And then the end times happened, and I read through the little brief thing, and I was like, I don't want to be involved in this fandom or hobby. I can see where the winds are going. Into the boxes with you, trash. And that's where they.
The end times was quite the thing. Oh, the fucking end times. That really just, I don't even know. I mean, they're remaking that. See, that's one of the like big counter arguments to my idea that they're probably just shelving everything as quick as they can because they are bringing back Warhammer. But for having seen what they brought back so far, too, though, it seems as if they're bringing it back in the most plasticky way imaginable. You know, the most Hasbro-y, saily kind of stuff imaginable.
Pretty much. Like, I don't think they're gonna abandon their physical stuff because I think there'll always be people that just buy it. It's kind of like the same case with just people buying stuff in general. Like, even if you have a massive boycott where like people are like, I'm gonna pirate something, the vast majorities of casuals will pirate it if they can. If it's the first thing they Google, like free download of Hey Whoa, and like it's on the first page, they'll click it. Most people, like 60 to 70% of people, will not click on page 2 to look. They will not go past page 2. It's too much effort. And so if you can remove, like as an anti-piracy agent, if you can remove the first page of pirated links, you've already cut down piracy by like 60 to 70% because casuals don't do it. Your hardcore pirates are always going to find it. You can't stop them. It's whatever. You don't worry about them. You worry about the general audience. And I think that's kind of what they're looking at from their mentality. They're not really worried about people, you know, printing their own because people will do that. But the casual audience will just consume for the sake of consumption sake. Because it's easy. Because it's official. Even if the, you know, third-party printed ones are superior in every way and cheaper.
And a lot of them are right now, which is mildly sad in its own way, too.
Well, that's good for them.
The actual company models are becoming inferior to the so-called cheap knockoffs.
See, this kind of competition is a good thing in my mind because this should create the drive to compete, the drive to improve. But with GW, I doubt it. I think they've realized that they're content with the casual audience, and which is why they're trying to replace the hardcore audience with the casual audience because they'll just consume their plastic crap regardless of the quality of it or how much sense it makes sense, or you know, lore wise. That's kind of how it feels.
Sense it makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I had to correct myself there because I didn't finish that sentence fully. Somebody tagged me in chat and I was looking at that and I was like, there goes my brain. Cannot multitask.
There's another part of this too that we could talk about. The idea of competition, because that's an interesting one. Because in any setting that had actual competition, this would be an incredibly poor move, like a genuinely insanely poor one. Okay, you've got fan animations creating millions of views, millions of clicks, millions of exposures to people all over the world, showing off your fancy space marines, etc. It's showing off your action, the awesomeness of it. It's like Astartes is literally just kind of a space marine masturbatory love letter to the Astartes as these giant power armored monsters barrel their way through tons of heavily armed soldiers, you know? But what's the competition? Like, what is Games Workshop's competition?
They don't have
what is it?
a lot. I just linked you something because, like you said, competition. I was thinking, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Like, if I want a tabletop science fiction war game, right? The first thing that came to my mind was the Fantasy Flight's Star Wars Legion game, which has nowhere near the same support level that GW has in terms of armies and stuff. It still has a lot of diversity in terms of units and equipment and armies, but it's not on the same scale at all, you know? I can't think, like, what else besides Star Wars Legion is there? Like, there's that one called War something?
Like, let's begin with, like, Fantasy Flight, right? Yeah. Let's begin there, then we'll move over to Privateer Press, which is the War Machine. Fantasy Flight stuff is nowhere near the quality of Games Workshop's stuff. Like, the one you sent me there, I just clicked on one of the random things, like a painting guide for Luke Skywalker. His model is boring as F, and it's not even all that well painted. Like, okay, this is not a competitor. And it's because for them, that's a franchise work for them. They're like, okay, we'll snap Star Wars on it, we'll cook up some rules, and we'll go like, oh, there you go. That's a Star Wars thing. And it probably does sell, but that's not a setting. That's not a world. That's not an evolving rule set. That's just Monopoly in a box.
Well, they do, I will say this, because I finally went to their website. I went to the wrong thing. I haven't really looked at this too much, but they have, like, there's other things to it. There are rules, like, other rule sets and eras. Like, there's the, Galactic Civil War and stuff. But this is still, I've seen some people in my Discord server post their paintings. A lot of them are 40k models, but the only other ones I've ever seen are like these, or BattleTech ones. Like, that's it. And it's not, I was looking at some of the models, like, they're not near the same quality. They're not bad. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination. They look decent. But it's not, there's not as much of it, Like, I looked at the website, and they have some stuff, but it's not like the massive roster that Warhammer 40k has for one faction, Like, the Empire has a couple box sets. The Separatists have a couple box sets.
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly supported.
It's not. And then there's Privateer Press, of course. That's another interesting one. Particularly because Privateer Press, the whole War Machine thing, there was actually a time, it's been quite a while now, but some years ago, they were actually beginning to really rub up alongside a war game, Games Workshop. Like, they were creating an actual genuine competitor. And then Games Workshop stopped being the absolute predatory cucks they were, like 10 years ago, and tried to ameliorate things with the fan base a little bit, because they still needed the fan base.
It's War Machine, right? Privateer Press?
Yes, War Machine.
Okay, because they have a ton of products. I had to make sure I was showing chat the right one.
War Machine was the big one, but then War Machine started shitting on itself just repeatedly, over and over and over and over again. Their prices are genuinely absurd.
Yeah, 84 buckaroos.
Yes, their
really
prices
cool
are
designs though, but yeah, crazy. Expensive.
Absolutely crazy prices. Like, they're worse than GW when it comes to pricing, which is, oh my god.
Yeah, it's super expensive.
That's pretty horrible.
Cool style though.
Oh yeah, the style, they're very stylish. But again, it's like, holy hell, like, there's $100
super expensive
for a model.
It's like, okay, you want the Hammerfell Siege Crawler, Mercenary Rulik Battle Engine. Cute, but it's like $84. It's like, okay, let's look for something a little, cheaper. The Howler's Infernal, dude. 4 models for $79. Like, good God. Like, good God.
Like, the cheapest model I see, like, just looking at their website straight up on the Now, let's look at Hordes, because Hordes is a little cheaper, right? Um, Individual model, $40. Like, okay.
That's still a bit steep for a bit of plastic, though.
Like, I could get a video game for the same price.
And the video game
it'll
has
probably be more entertainment.
a lot more entertainment value, and especially if it's the game like Medieval 2, like what, $20 has like every mod for every medieval fantasy universe imaginable, limitless potential entertainment value, almost because of the modding. Like it's not entirely a fair comparison because, you know, it's physical tabletop, but like these things are expensive. Like $69, like I'm not gonna fault them. The quality of them, they look cool. They got a good artistic direction, but like that's still expensive.
That is very expensive. Then you've got some other stuff too. Mantic Games with their stuff. Mantic Games have done pretty damn well, in my opinion, when it comes to making quality stuff that looks pretty good, and the rule set are pretty damn good as well. Their biggest problem is that they don't have a universe. There is no universe. There is no setting. There's no background, really, to what they're doing. It's just a rule set, which it isn't enough to establish a universe, you know? It's not going to compete with GW because it's just not the same thing. It's not the same product.
You kind of have to... You kind of need, like... Story is one of those things that often gets overlooked. Like, it gives purpose and meaning to it. For me, if I play a shooter game, I don't know about you, but, like, I like to have a story. It's like, I'm killing these things, and, like, it feels like, oh, wow, everything I kill, I'm killing one more demon, or I'm killing one more Xeno that's invading Earth, or something like that. Like, there's a reason to it. Even if it's a basic reason.
Yes, even if it's something simple. There's also bolt action. That's another thing. And, I mean, that's cool too, but that's a very historical style wargame as well. For the specially interested, let's be clear. You've got, what's that other one? Conflict 47? That one's cooler. I like that. I like the idea of it, because it's World War II, but with crazy sci-fi nonsense shit. With fucking zombies and giant, like, mech battle suits for the Soviets that fire lightning and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. That's a very interesting idea, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
It's not the same setting. It's not the same universe. It's not the same world. It doesn't attract the same fan base. And I don't think you can get it to be as much of a wide-spanning setting and as much of a genuine and general interest when you're doing it that way. Like, you will attract less people because there's just less stuff, frankly.
Yeah, you really need to build an expansive universe to make it more interesting. That's one of the draws that the Warhammer IP, I must say, has for me personally, is like, okay, I can look at the things like, you know, the Bretonnians or the Skaven, and I can see the more expansiveness that they all have their own, like, infantrymen, they have their own archers, their own catapults. It's not like, you know, they're just like little bits of stuff, and like each nation feels like there's depth to it. Each nation has a massive tome of lore behind it and unique mechanics that help, you know, make them have their own unique flavor as well as their artistic aesthetic. There's a bigger feel behind it. And that was actually one thing that Games Workshop, despite their plagiarist tendencies, managed to do very well. Each faction felt very unique in a way. Very personalized.
Yep. And that was what also gained them so much success. Like, 40K is not famous and is not on the edge of going mainstream today because of its incredible rule set. Like, it's decent, but that's all it is. Like, it's not something that'll blow people's brains away. Like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. It's good, but it's no miracle, you know? What has brought people into it is the interesting setting, the cool art, the incredibly unique style of it all, particularly the very early art pieces as well, the ones that look like a crazed painter drew them, you know? That is beautiful stuff.
Yes, it's actually a huge deal when designing an IP to pick your artists very carefully, because the artistic visuals, even of your vision, will be very much defined by the artist. In the case of Star Wars, I forget the artist's name, but Like, that aesthetic is very Star Wars. You can tell the artist's work when you look at the concept art for the Star Wars movies. Like, yep, that's Star Wars. Like, it feels Star Wars. It looks Star Wars. Just like in the same case for 40K. You look at a certain piece of art because of the artist that worked on it, you're like, that's 40K. Like, you can look at it from a mile away and you can tell. It's grim, it's dark, it's, brooding, it's filled with despair.
Yep. Like crazy fucking skulls everywhere, flying around and stiff. Crazy nonsense.
Yep. The rule of cool factor is cranked up to 11. It may not make 100% sense, but it doesn't have to. It's a balance.
Giant bloody dudes in centimeters thick power armor. It's awesome. It is an awesome setting. And that was what made it good. Like, there is literally no competitor that is in a good position right now to do what Games Workshop is currently doing. And I don't see one arriving anytime soon either, necessarily. Especially also as a lot of this tabletop stuff, quite simply, is yesterday's news. Like, it's fairly difficult to produce, it's fairly expensive, it has a fairly niche fan base, it requires a lot of work, a lot of preparation, a lot of specialized machinery, and when you want to do it on a large scale, it requires even more of all of these things again as well. There's so much you need to do to get a physical game like that up and running.
Yes, and not only that, but you need to get communities building up, or two, that'll actually play it at stores and stuff.
Yes.
And that's difficult. That's the one thing that we've talked about that I always think that digital has in the long run. Digital board games will, I think, eventually become like very predominant. Because the ability to play with friends across the goddamn planet. Because if you and I wanted to play physical tabletop Warhammer, we'd literally have to fly across the globe, or half the globe, in order to do so. You can have a much larger player pool if you have a digital tabletop than if you had a physical one.
And it allows for much easier monetization as well. That's the thing. Like, the fact that GW has never made a digital product in all these years and don't seem set to do so either is one of those great mysteries of the world where it's like, wow, you could have earned so much money so easily, and yet you have seemingly chosen not to. Like, okay, well, that is your choice, I do suppose.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. Like, nothing about it does. Because you could have, like, a digital tabletop in which it's almost free, or maybe, yeah, in a way that it's free to play, so people can pop in and try some of the starter armies, but in order to customize them, you need to, purchase them to unlock them. And that's not particularly greedy, because then you can, like, okay, here's all the rule sets, and now you can play with that stuff. It's like, bam. So, and at the end of the day, you could buy, like, maybe the complete set, so it's like, $60 or something like that. Bam, there's everything. And all of a sudden, you're churning in sales like crazy. And then you can release cosmetic packs, and then all of a sudden, sales are churning in like crazy. Missed opportunity, but hey, maybe somebody else can do it instead.
Indeed. And of course, that is one of the things too, because we keep saying that GW isn't necessarily stupid, and they do to an extent know what they're doing here, which I absolutely do believe. But they are also a company that are very set in their ways. I think this, again, is a move away from plastic, which is an interesting one that I think many of us did expect, but not quite in this way, to put it quite mildly.
Yeah, attacking their fans. It's very curious, yeah.
Like, I don't even think they're... because the chat brings up another interesting point, too. Like, they only care about selling models. And yeah, to an extent they do, but I think that is the old paradigm of this as well. Because they did only care about selling models. But if they truly did care only about selling models now, they would have kept the free marketing. I think we need to refocus it a little bit and say that it's not that they just care about selling models, it's just that they just care about getting your money. That's it. Because now they want you to subscribe. They want you to go to Warhammer Plus. They want you to pay them $5 every single goddamn month for access to YouTube quality stuff. Literally. YouTube painting videos, YouTube battle reports, YouTube lore, and usually lesser than that as well, and then keep charging you.
Yep.
That tells you how comfortable they are in their position when they're willing to do that. And yet also how uncomfortable they are. Because, like, okay, we can't compete with this shit. We can't compete with fan animations, so let's corner the market. Let's make it so that people have actually nowhere to go but into our $5 subscription service.
It's also debatable whether that's technically legal, because a fan art piece released for free is one of those things where it's like, if they're not actually profiting off of it, like, let's say you did a fan animation, right? And you released it, and you didn't turn on ads or anything like that. Like, technically speaking, from my understanding, there's not a lot they should be able to realistically do besides say, can you please remove that? And then if they say no, be like, okay. Like,
yeah, no, that is true. Like, fan animations made just for the purpose of being fan animations and 100% free, I don't think they could do a whole lot with. But the thing is, it shouldn't have to be that way. Like, it shouldn't have to be for free, because there's so much time and effort that goes into making this shit. There's no reason why somebody shouldn't receive just recompense for this.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny we talk about fan animation, because we recently received fan animation for our channel, and I even offered, I do want to pay the guy, because it's actually really good. Because it's like one of those things, when you get fan art, like, it's also cool, it's also honoring your work, and it's also helpful advertisement for your channel or your product. There's no reason to attack a fan. I could never fathom why anyone would do such a thing. In fact, it's funny that Disney is more like, I always like to make the comparison between GW and Disney, because it's interesting, because I hate Disney personally. I absolutely loathe them. But GW, or Disney, is a much better company when it comes to how they treat their fans than GW. And that's horrifying. That should be horrifying. It's not that Disney's a good guy. It's that in comparison, Disney is a saint by comparison. That's bad. Like, that's really bad. It's like saying Satan's not that bad.
Disney still wants a fan base. They still want people to pay and play their stuff.
Yeah.
Watch their movies. Consume their products. Whereas GW have come to the conclusion that they're high above such petty concerns as that.
I mean, look at Disney and how they reacted to Kathleen. Like, they hate her now internally. There's a huge schism about trying to basically cut her out of everything now. Because she...
Well, I don't know about that. I have heard so many rumors about how Kathleen Kennedy is totally on the out. Chick's still there.
Contract. There's nothing you could do about it. Until it expires.
Possibly. Now, what's also going to be interesting is what's going to happen to the fan animations. Because let's move on from, like, the obvious topics and how GW are horrible. What's going to happen to the fan animations? Because now you have a closed ecosystem, and even the parodies have been removed. GW have established a 100% monopoly on this, and the only potential competition would come from people who are willing to make high quality, intricate, complicated, incredibly time demanding animations for free, forever, specifically for free, which is not going to happen. Like, that's the beauty of the internet and YouTube, the ability to monetize your time and your effort, because people can then get good shit without even needing to pay for it. Like, you could drop $1 or $2 on Patreon, sure, but on YouTube, it's free, which is a fantastic thing, and everybody benefits until GW decides to do this. But
yeah,
what's then going to happen? Are they actually going to give those content creators the freedom to create the good stuff that they want to create? Or are they going to start a bigger push towards profitability? Because what I think is going to happen is Warhammer Plus is going to get pretty shitty subscription numbers compared to what they expect. Because they're not offering a whole lot. They're offering battle reports, painting tutorials, their little lore videos, and access to an online library, and tickets to events. That's nothing I can't get for free, except for the tickets to events, that is. Everything else, I search painting tutorial on YouTube. You get God knows how many examples. You enter in battle report, you get tons of them. You enter in lore, you get tons of them. You have so much choice and options from people who are probably genuinely a hell of a lot more interested in doing this than some paid stooge at GW, honestly.
Yeah.
And what are they gonna do? Firstly, I think they're gonna start giving away subscriptions. Like they're gonna add in like vouchers in White Dwarf. They're gonna add in vouchers in box sets. They're gonna start adding in gift certificates, like get 1 month for free, etc. And they're gonna go to their animators and say, "Hey, we've got a new box set coming out. Shouldn't you make something that's in line with this box set? You know, we're making Black Reach. Shouldn't you make something about Space Marines fighting orcs? And that would be really nice about, oh, you know, you've got creative freedom and all. Don't you want to do this? I mean, it's cool, isn't it? Isn't it cool? You want to be a team player, don't you? You want to be on Team GW, right? We've had a hard time recently. You want to help us out a bit, right?" And I think the quality is going to start tanking.
Yeah, definitely. You can already kind of see the passion like get suffocated out on some of those things where people have done that. Because like what made the Astartes cool and impressive wasn't the fact that it was sanctioned by GW, was the fact that it was done by an individual who wanted to do it because they were so passionate about it. If GW released something like Astartes, it would be neat, it would be cool, but it would not have the power or the impact that Astartes ever had.
See, this is why I bring along your cynical little doomer ass, because
That was a cynical. That's positive.
that's a very good point that I hadn't even really considered. The thing is, when Samahaya, was it? I think that was his name, made Astartes, we're like, holy shit, one dude did this? This is unbelievable.
Incredible.
And then it's on YouTube, and everyone sees it, and it's a massive thing. If Games Workshop released Ultramarine, a full movie in 40K, and everyone was like, I expected better from $1 million company. I think that'll be a lot of, like, maybe the first next Astartes will do very well, because they'll be like, yeah, it's still this guy, it's still one person. But eventually we'll be like, you're earning millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, The Guardian has told me that you're more profitable than Google. Where's my flashy effects? Like, where's my hour-long movie? Like, where's the better sound effect? Where's my celebrity voice actors? Blah blah blah.
Oh God! Don't shut that triggers me.
What happened?
The whole desire for celebrity voice acting is such a sham.
What happened?
You don't need celebrities to do voice work. In fact, sometimes they suck at it. Like actual proper voice actors and actresses who do it as a hobby should be investigated. Fun fact, 2B, the voice actress that played her, did like a meme YouTube video. You should always go for the underdogs with talent because you want their voices to define that role for that character. That's a weird side tangent, I know, but it bothers me. It triggered me that you brought that up. I always hate when games do that. Or, oh my god, the worst part's when they model it after, like, a real actor. Like in Fallen Order, the bug-eyed, like, lady who is your master, or not master thing. God, her eyes bulge out of her skull. But, I hate when they use real-life actors. I hate that. It's, what a waste of creative potential. To do something new.
No, Kyle, you shall shut your whore hole, and I'm gonna watch Sylvester Stallone as Captain Blackface from the latest movies. Yes.
Captain what?
Blackface. He's an Ultramarine captain, I think.
Is he?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe so. You don't sound quite convinced.
I'm as convinced as I need to be right now. Oh, god damn it. Right. Let's start going through some super chats, because I think we've covered the main topic, so I want to see if the chat also has something to contribute so that we can elaborate on as well. Firstly, I made a note of this because the YouTube decided to remove it. Bat Dad says, I got a raise this week, have muns. Thank you very much. Because YouTube decided to remove that one for some reason. Right, Olav Överbro, ball cream for the ball cream god, pastries for the pastry throne. See, I knew people would like the manscaping ad, because it's like they have They have ball cream, Kyle. It's cream you rub on your balls after you shower. Like, how amazing is that? We live in a society that has produced ball cream.
Nice. Would you like some ball cream?
So it's a lovely product. It's one of those products where, like, I don't think I'll need ball cream. Then you apply ball cream and you're like, this feels mildly pleasant.
But why? Why does it feel so pleasant? Do you know, Arch?
That is a question for some other time. Susanin says, hello, rising rumbler. God, Rumble was such a failure of a platform too. Would you agree that the standard audiobook are way better to listen than audio dramas from Black Library? Also, any hints about 2 secret projects? No. No.
He's being resistant, chat. Hold him down.
Now, the audiobooks from Black Library are actually genuinely good. Like, I really like the guy who did the voice acting for Scars, for example, because he occasionally turns Asian. And I talk, oh, yes, we are white Scars. We speak like a disher. Like, that's very racist, my dude, but I appreciate it. I approve. Ah, he's a good boy. Nathan Hildeman, Arch, are there any other miniature war games you would recommend? See, that's not an easy question to ask because there are quite a few other ones. Like Bolt Action is pretty cool. Conflict 47 is pretty cool. There are a lot of others that are pretty cool, but there are none that have the kind of universe, the kind of setting, the kind of support, and the kind of infrastructure that 40k has. Like, it's more... How do I put it? It's more like 40k is the sausage in bread kind of stuff. Like, it's the kind of stuff that is widely liked. It's a very big franchise, it's a very big setting, it has a lot of fans everywhere, and it kind of scratches multiple itch for multiple different people in multiple different ways. It scratches the itch of storytelling from some, it scratches the itch of wargaming for some, it scratches the itch of painting and brilliant sculptures for others, and so on. It kind of hits upon every key point, but it doesn't... It's not necessarily the best. Like, if you want to talk about the best rule set, Mantic Games, what is it? I mean, look that up. I think like Kings of War or something. Mantic Games.
Mantic Games.
Mantic Games. Kings of War, yes, I was correct. Mantic Wars Kings of War has a fantastic rule set. Love it to death. And unlike GW, you can buy an entire army from Mantic Games. We're talking like 40, 50, 60 models. Actually, there's a number here. 73 models for $150. A full army, $150. Like, damn, that is so much better of a deal. It's not even funny. And the rule set is great. Like, I would highly recommend that. But they have no story, no setting, no nothing. In fact, they're kind of just making Warhammer stuff. Like, if you look at their armies, they're kind of just Warhammer armies.
The Skaven or the Ratkin. They're very Skaven-y.
Yes, they're very Skaven-y. They are very, very Skaven-y. Like, you could bring some of these units to the tabletop in Warhammer, and your opponent would be like, huh, those are some weird models. I mean, I know what they are, but they're kind of like a little bit off. Did you convert them?
Yeah, it's like, what? It's a bit special looking.
And then you've got, oh, what the hell was it? Maleficent?
What?
Maleficent. Was that it? See, when I try to find this on Google, it just gives me that bloody Disney movie.
Yeah.
But it's some kind of derpy like French kind of sounding word, malefique, something derpy like that. They have beautiful models, absolutely beautiful models. better than, and they have so much soul and character in them. Two great looking models, but that Millie Fox, is that it? Is that chat? God damn it, chat's moving too quickly.
What?
Copy. Control C. Control V.
Mally Fox.
Millie.
That will never get big because of that name.
Yes, it's a terrible name.
That's an awful name.
That's awful name. Is that it? No. Is this like a card game or something, isn't it?
Ew, card games are cringe, chat ban.
Oh no, they do have models as well.
Is that not what you're thinking?
No, I think this is what I'm thinking. I'm just not entirely certain right now. I'm confused. That's all. That's all you really need to know.
I don't know what anything is in regards to this.
But the thing is, again, there are a lot of other tabletop, but none of them have all of the things. They don't have the great models, the rule set, the story, the backstory. They don't have all of that. They just have elements of it. And that is where all of Games Workshop competitors fall flat. They don't build the universe, or they don't build the rules, or they don't build the models, or they focus exclusively on one aspect of it. That's why they don't get that larger appeal, which is kind of sad. Yes. Anyhow, Samuel Eddy says, with California looking to ban high-end video cards, do you think people will finally drop the politicians under the bus? I think people at this point are just literally sheep. That is my pessimistic assumption and assessment at this point. Like, you look at the laws being passed in countries, literally laws to send the police to your door for hate speech. It's like, people vote for this. People bloody vote for this. I don't know what it'll require. Maybe banning high-end PCs might fucking rouse a few people out of their stupor. I hope so. And it's ridiculous too. It's like, oh, we have too much energy consumption. Quick, ban high-end PCs. Right. Yeah, no, that's the problem. Computers. Yes, yeah, totally. Idiots. Wargame 341, like D&D, people fall back to previous Warhammer editions. I have a small group that jumps between 3rd and 6th edition. I do believe that will be the case, yes. Like, people will gravitate towards their favorite version, and they'll just basically keep the flame alive in basements and hobby clubs, and maybe we see a resurgence. Actually, that's another one too. Like, if you want to try another tabletop game, give BattleTech a try. You know, BattleTech has been doing very well, though I will say BattleTech is going to be an acquired taste for many, I do believe.
It is. BattleTech is a very different book. It's like, okay, you like big, chunky mechs with tanks, infantry, spaceships, and stuff like that. It's set in a human-centric universe, because that's BattleTech. It's not going to have, like, crazy aliens or things like that. The focus is, like, space neo-feudalism with mechs and mech centrism. So if you like mech combat and you wanted like a more mil-semi sort of approach to the mechs, like BattleTech is right up your alley, fighting for ancient houses that are fighting over, you know, who inherits the Star League while there's derpy space clans invading.
Gay shit, basically.
Literally amazing. Arch has yet to properly embrace it. She's still resistant, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Gay shit. No amount of denial will make you correct on this, Carl.
He's resisting.
Skullsbone 888 says, an idea I've had is to go against Warhammer Plus, as it is what GW has the most money invested in and hasn't made any money yet. Absolutely. Like, if I was going to organize, quote unquote, a boycott on anything, it would be Warhammer Plus. Screw that shit. And that is their pocketbook. That is absolutely what they are trying to move towards. If we could, by some miracle, choke Warhammer Plus out in his little cradle, they might just come crawling black.
Oh shit! Cancelled again.
Back to the table. But the thing is, I think they already know that is going to be a loss leader. They have already looked at what that's going to be, and they're like, yeah, this isn't going to make them any money for a year, 2 years, 3 years, because it isn't. And they have a very long-term goal for that. So I think even if we really ravage their numbers, they'll kind of just shrug and go like, within expectations, frankly. But yes, that is a good target, and it is a target you can actively hurt. Super visual, a good minigame to get into is Infinity has Booba? Is that an actual name? Infinity has Booba. DuckDuckGo.
What?
Infinity has Booba. I am confused. DuckDuckGo gives me nothing.
Did a fan say that? Did somebody in chat say
yes,
that?
minigame to get into is Infinity. Or, no, just Infinity. Infinity has boobs, I guess. Yes, okay.
Yes, that's what that... Oh my god, Archie, you uncultured swine! Booba. Booba means
All right,
titties.
the first thing I get is Infinity is a car brand where there's a bunch of painfully diverse-looking people smiling at me over the top of a mediocre-looking car.
Infinity board game. I don't get crap for that. I get a lot of weird random board game things.
Infinity Tabletop. Game table? No. Miniature market?
These names are terrible, by the way. Like, do not, like, yes, let's make a board game. We'll call it Infinity. Like, oh, that's really, like, that's been used
very
in
generic
a billion
and all
things.
very interesting.
You're not gonna get clicks.
Right, here we go. Infinity. Those are some pretty cool models. I don't mind those. Those aren't bad. I know nothing about this, though. Like, does it have a universe? Does it have a story? I don't know. They're not bad models. Yeah, not awful. That's a really dumb-looking gun, and that makes me hurt. Oh, well. There you go. That's another suggestion for you all, Infinity. Psychocausal, GW Gestapo. Anyway, I am finally free from financial instability. That is a good way of looking at it. It is. It is.
Is it?
Yes. Lancelot 652. I'd say Racifist is also gave a bit of a boost to BattleTech. He narrated 3 of the books on his channel and are still up. Yes. And that again too is because BattleTech can't afford to alienate their fans. Are you crazy? They're a stupid little setting about retarded mechs going derp derp derp. I'm really old. It's an awful setting.
Digging his hole, digging his hole.
They'll take any advertisement they can. Even if some dude literally reads their books out aloud, they'll go, "Thank you." And that is the way it's supposed to be. That is the way it's supposed to bloody be.
Yeah, no, that is kind of the way it's... Well, as long as he's sanctioned to narrate it. Because the whole audiobook thing. BattleTech does have some audiobooks. But I'm pretty sure he got permission for doing that kind of stuff. Well, and if I had to guess, Catalyst Games Lab's pretty chill.
Abolish IP. Abolish intellectual property rights. There you go.
That would be bad.
That would be a solution to my problem.
That is an opposite extreme. What would happen then is you would have more woke hammer than you've ever had in your entire life.
It'd be fantastic. And they will all fail on the merits of their own assishness.
But how do you, like, it wouldn't work. Like, you would just have people stealing from each... If you go to the anarcho route, you don't win anything.
Like, Kyle's looking at Warhammer, which stole with both hands from Tolkien, from Michael Moorcock, from history, and it's like, you were just happy by stealing from another. Yes, bad, cunt.
Thing is, Warhammer did steal. You're correct, but in time, it learned to become its own entity and its own thing. It took time for it to eventually formulate its own way. And it did. It has a very distinct personality. It actually adds something. It's not just stolen stuff. It has a lot of origins in stealing. Very bad, very shameful.
All stealing eventually becomes its own thing if left alone long enough. It's the long principle. If I steal your watch, after a year or two, that's my watch now.
I scratched my name on
shit,
it. Still my watch.
Okay, fine. Like, I am joking, of course, with the abolishment of all IP laws, but the thing is, the IP laws were created for a physical world with physical products. We don't live in that world anymore, and it needs massive,
It needs to be
radical
changed, yes.
reworking.
That is where we both agree. Because as I work, in anti-piracy stuff, right? And I deal with a lot of that crap. Like, let me tell you, we are behind the times when it comes to digital copyright. The understanding of digital copyright when you deal with governments, Interpol or FBI, right? It's like physical, right? It's like, it isn't though, you fucking monkeys. You overpaid government workers that don't know shit. Oh, it's so infuriating. No, things need to change. There needs to be redefining of certain things, and things need to be updated, especially with IP. And IP should be owned. You should have your own intellectual property, indeed. However, at some point, that IP should expire after your death. It should not be eternal, because otherwise our descendants are going to run into a point in which everything's intellectual property of something. And they'd be like,
also
what?
be very liberal borrowing laws. Like, if somebody wants to make Space Marines, basically, they should be able to make Space Marines, basically. So long as they are set in a universe sufficiently different from the origin universe. There needs to be far more freedom for inspiration, because that's where all of these companies got their inspiration from. Hell, Disney copyrighted literal fairy tales.
Yes, they should not have been able to do that. They should
have.
never.
Like, they should have. They should have been able, but that's the thing too. They should be able to copyright their
interpretation.
Snow White.
Yeah, I give you that.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
But everybody else should also be able to copyright their own Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, their own interpretation of it. Well,
yes,
that gets a little messy. I could see that getting messy. I see potential problems with that, because you have to be careful with that, because otherwise... But at the same time, like, I get what you're saying. Well, I guess I need more, like, proper examples of it at play.
Actually, all you need to do is surrender.
I don't think that's how
Jackson
that works.
Kai said, TTS said, well, they are likely fair use. They don't want to have... said, well, they are... Okay. Wording. TTS said, well, they are likely fair use, but they don't want to have to fight it in court. Alpha Booster just had a kid and doesn't want family involved. Right. That's fair enough. I do understand that. Though, again, I do not think they would ever have received any kind of cease and desist, honestly.
Probably
I really don't.
Not. Probably not yet.
Again, like, I entirely understand that you don't want to deal with this. I have complete sympathy for that. But I'm also saying that the only one who could possibly have launched any kind of actual pushback would probably have been TTS.
Actually, you could, but, they just sort of crapped all over you last time.
I'm not fucking going to.
Why bother saving something that doesn't like you and hates you? Let it drown. Let it drown.
The real Holtonator, I didn't really follow how people treat Arch other than knowing it was crap. Besides Outer Circle, did anyone else treat you well in the end? Sure, what was this, Mark Lewis Spark? Was that it? The guy behind Death of Hope, that was it. My brain was still there for a second. Yeah, Death of Hope. He's a good guy. The creator behind that, very nice person. I have nothing against him. He's a very good person. He's a good boy. And to be fair too, like, the only one I'm actually annoyed at is Valorant. Like, even Kyrios, I don't mind, because Kyrios has his own reasons for all of this. For other people, I don't care. It is what it is.
That's actually an interesting point. The guy whose name is Brish says, didn't Arch let them steal his name and now sit there and judge? Arch did that for a very dumb reason, in my opinion. He's like, I can't confront GW because if I do, it might endanger the entire community, and I care about the community. Meanwhile, the community doesn't, like, they throw Arch under the bus every 5 seconds. See, the thing is, you should have fought that in retrospect, especially considering now. It would have been better because you could have done something. TTS would never have. They're cowards. They're not going to do it. You could have made a difference if you actually fought them there. But you were too worried that it would hurt other Warhammer channels. should have fought them. You should have killed them. Should have slaughtered them in battle. What do you think, Arch?
That's the thing. The way they worded it was literally the usage of Warhammer in any context whatsoever on YouTube. That was their wording. If I would have thought that, which in retrospect, again, I kind of regret not doing, I would have to go to court and basically say, okay, these are all the other Warhammer, every last one. That would also include text-to-speech device as well, and go like, you have not launched any kind of cases against any of these. Why haven't you? That is a bit of a scorched earth thing, though. But if they were going to scorch the earth anyway...
Yep. I mean, the whole situation, like, it can be safely summed up as this, in my opinion. Warhammer fandom had its opportunity to make a stand. In the end, it didn't, and now it gets what it deserves. It deserves to burn. The entire fandom. Most of the other content creators are at fault for most of this stuff, because they simply allowed it to happen and never stuck up for you when it did. They not only ignored it, but a lot of them, even on social media, laughed about it. They did. And it's sickening, but that's just how it is. The entire Warhammer fandom, its IP, and at least the YouTuber-wise, are cowards. And they deserve what they get. That's my opinion. To be fair, I don't have a very positive opinion of them because I've seen the crap they did to Arch, and I don't very much like them. When somebody pisses on your friend, you kind of want to just, piss on them. Arch is more forgiving than I am. I don't even know why. If I was you, I'd be more mad at me. Arch is like,
I was an angry creature.
We can just let bygones be bygones. No, you can never forgive. Never forget.
Glow in the Dark says, keep the Machiavellian manipulator. Oh, it's me, I'm being oppressed. Send money. It's been 5 hours. It's only $5 a month. That is Kyle. Kyle would probably do that.
Huh?
And you should not give him money.
I don't think that was addressed towards me, though.
You should charge him money, in fact.
Just get random bills like, what the hell? For my own fandom and my channel. Like, we want $20. I'll be poor pretty quickly.
Nico40k says, what do you predict would be the absolute worst possible outcome GW would ever do? My money on they'd outright sue YouTube channels for covering Warhammer 40k. I would not be surprised if their next step would be going after other content creators. I would not be surprised, because they've already kind of launched that precedent now, where they are arguing that, okay, you're an animator, you're in competition with us now, and so we're going to send you a cease and desist. But again, the thing is, animations are a very specific thing. Animations can quite easily be potentially mistaken for an official product, and that makes it a lot more difficult to argue fair use, etc., because fair use is primarily based on that it is not in competition with the original product, that it cannot reasonably be a replacement for the original product, and that it isn't directly replacing the official product. In the case of Astartes, it was better than the official product. That was the problem.
That's an understatement, but yeah, it was literally the product in terms of quality. If you had sent me that, and I had not known it was a fan creation, I'd be like, wow, that's an official work.
Yes. Whereas, like, a painting tutorial, a lore video would be harder. Like, if anything, I would say they'd go after battle reports first, and then lore videos, and I don't think they'd go after painting, because I don't think even GW could show up in court and be like, right, so we claim the right to painting.
They may not be able to show up in court, but that does not necessitate that they would not try. Because the thing is, with GW, and how aggressive they are, they will try. I mean, let's remind Arch that GW is not only aggressive, but relentlessly spiteful, okay? You remember, you had these wonderful sponsorships from World of Warships. You remember those? I remember those. I think chat remembers those too. And who contacted GW telling them to stop working with you?
Well, all the way around, but
Whatever. It's the same thing, and where I'm going. GW.
it's the same thing where Kyle's going.
Listen, GW is a bad company because they went out of their way to try to get you to lose ads. And we also know that a few of the writers from Black Library don't like you.
Well, that is indeed correct.
They hate you. Or just like,
There
I
are
love
those within the literary branch
This
that
is-
are not particularly fun.
This is also the reason why I just can't stand Warhammer anymore as much. Like, I like the video games, I like Dawn of War, but like the big thing for me is like the fact that it's like you have a fan, right? I've always wanted to have fans for my own IP that I'm working on. Like that's something I dream about, right? And it's like you have a fan that's so impassioned with your IP that they want to talk about it. Because Arch loves Warhammer a lot. He's a friggin' nerd, and in our friend group, of all the like, he's the Warhammeristy Warhammer nerd. Like, he knows all the crap about all the stupid, pointless information that you would not want to know about. Like, oh, how do they wipe their asses? You know, whatever. But, like, that kind of fan, like, that cares about the universe, the IP, the aesthetic, should be respected. And instead, they just spit on him. Like, you like our product? We don't like you. It's like, okay, wow, incredible. This is profound. Amazing. You don't tell your fucking consumer base you don't like them, you idiots. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. We're at a point in which this isn't just Warhammer, by the way. This is a problem with IPs as a whole. Not just IPs, not IPs related, actually. It's the people who work on them, who have no respect for the fans. Dawn of War 3. Relic, no respect for the fans. Did not listen to feedback from the community that were like, hey, you know, maybe we don't kind of want this MOBA crap RTS. We kind of just want Dawn of War. Like, we want Dawn of War. That's all we want. We want Dawn of War game. Easy. Just make that. They couldn't do that. It's the same kind of shitty mentality. They think they know better, Arch.
But Kibbs knows something else opposite because he's Kibbs.
I'm
Throw him under
right.
the bus.
I have a point.
Now.
You know it. He's like, I don't want. If I take that point, that's a more extreme stance than I'm willing to take. But it's right and it's sharp.
I hope the wheels of the bus hit you repeatedly.
I'll survive. Durable.
Ian Leslie says, less than 1 year until Hasbro buys GW. Well, at least then they'll finally get some critical race theory training, so that'll be fun for them.
Ah, yes.
Oh, another thing, Hasbro was recently caught pushing mandatory critical race theory in to their employees, which is brilliant. Like, yes, we need to see race more. Yeah, we need to understand the importance of the shape of the cranium. You can see here, the Negro has a larger rear cranium, indicating, etc.
It's fun.
Why do we need to see race? Why, Hasbro? Why do we have to see it? Why can't we just not?
Because,
It's
Arch,
It's fine.
these
It's
people, most cases, actually not most, pretty much all, universally, is what we're moving on to here, all SJWs are racist. They're like, we don't like the other people because they're too weak to defend themselves. Only the white master. You see the rhetoric they go for, though? It's like, only we have the power to give them that. Only we have the power to give them success. What kind of racist rhetoric is this? Yet they're like, this isn't racist. It's like, dude, that is completely... You're saying they're so weak and unable to care for themselves that you have to do it? Piss off.
Actually, their argument was really was quite fascinating because the point was, you see, babies are racist. And not just white babies, all babies are racist, because apparently all babies will gravitate towards the white babies, even black babies, which I'm kind of sitting there like, Hasbro, Are you sure this is the point you want to make? Yes, by age 6, white babies gravitate towards each other, whilst black people show no in-group preference. Hasbro. Stop it, Hasbro.
You
No,
sell
black babies don't like other black babies. They already think they're criminal. Hasbro, calm down,
Hasbro,
please, no.
stop! What are you doing?
Stop
Like,
it.
cancel. The best part about it, right, is Hasbro. You don't like. What are you doing? Like, I don't even care. Like, you're supposed to sell toys. Like, we're a toy company. You know that one meme from that one.
That one meme, yes. How will this help us sell hamburgers? Hamburgers?
By that one alt-right guy who's kind of nutty, but sometimes he has a point. In that case, that comic actually has a point. The whole
hamburgers. We're gonna. Why would we sell hamburgers? I'm
It's
trying
like-
to change the world.
it's a
Damn you.
picture of two dudes kissing, and like it. There's a guy at a board, and the one of the people on the board's like, "All right, but how does this help us sell hamburgers?" And the guy showing them the two dudes kissing is like, "Hamburgers?" Because he's
Hamburgers?
completely forgot they're selling hamburgers.
What do you mean hamburgers?
We're selling hamburgers? Thought we're selling kissing. It's like, what?
It's dumb. But I'm sure GW will be very happy beneath Hasbro's overlordship. Hiryu, Arch, here's my protection money.
Yes.
Arch, if you make a holy order of gatekeeping to protect our hobbies, I will be the first to volunteer to burn the heretics. That is good. Gatekeep always. Like, again, you might be thinking, like, it's too late now. It's never too late to start. Remember, it was a long war to get us to this point from the far left crazies. It'll be a long war to chase them out with sticks as well.
That's why you need to create new IPs and gatekeep.
Except Kyle's IP. Avoid that one. I've already seen the SJWism.
It's already spreading.
It's
Yes.
actually worse. Like, he keeps drawing pictures of little girls and men with giant penises. I'm like, Kyle, please
Firstly,
stop it.
I don't even know where you got the
disavow.
giant penis part from. Secondly, I'm not the one doing the drawing. And thirdly, there's like 2 children characters out of like our cast of like 20 plus characters now. This is
Doesn't sound
bull.
like a very good defense, Kyle.
It is a very. You're telling me I can't kill children in the video game I want to make?
Yes.
No.
Yes, kinda.
I can do all sorts
And
of
I'm
horrible
definitely
things.
saying you can't put them in your game.
I'm gonna put them in our game, and I'm gonna have horrible things happen to them, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. They will die at a young
at
age.
least when you get sued, I can
Sued
act
by
like
who?
I never knew anything was gonna happen.
For what? I wonder. For what?
I'm sure we can come up with something. I'm thinking child abuse.
Listen, a piece of paper can't be child abuse if I rip the paper in half.
Actually, Kyle, according to Norwegian law, a piece of paper is a child. So,
What?
fuck you.
So you're telling me if you...
The EU law as well. So if you ever come over here, I'm gonna have you arrested.
That's what I've never
Like,
understood.
police officer looks at me like, what did he do? He abused a child. And they'll pull out their guns and be like, oh my god, get down. I was like, where's the child? Show them a paper. Yeah. According to your legal system.
I mean, if it's an actual picture of a child, like a real one, yeah, I could see the validity.
No, we're
behind
talking
it.
.jpegs.
Like just like anime drawings and stuff
Yes, according to EU law, that's a child.
of fake people that aren't even real. See,
Details.
my brain hurts there
Not
because, like,
questioning
think
EU
about
law.
it. Like, let's say in the game I'm making, I have the child die, and then I'm taken to jail because, like, you committed murder against a fictitious character. It's like, what? It's like, now you will die.
Don't kill the child, Kyle.
This is a hypothetical thing. I'm not saying the child will die. I'm just saying...
Don't be Peter Molyneux, who's like, I'm going to make you really like this dog, then I'm going to nail it to your front door.
Why would you do that? Just to doge the... No, doges need to be nailed. With nails.
Chloe says, Fourth Age went over this. The reason why they hire SJWs is they don't care about source material. The character's setting a law. Why? So they can abuse it for as much money as possible. They will torture customers as long as the money flows. I actually think it might be the other way around. I think that they hire them because they're the only people that are around, and they do have connections. Like, the SJWs have done a very good job networking, and they're far more loyal to one another than we are. And once they get into the setting, they don't care. I think the companies do actually care about their IP because their IP is what earns them money. I'm pretty sure that Mattel would have been far happier with He-Man if it had been cool and sold toys. Like that He-Man trailer with like Tina Turner, like champion music blaring in the background as He-Man leaps around his giant tiger and laser beams fire everywhere. If that had been the show, it would actually have revitalized the He-Man setting. But instead, the writers have a ideological bent. They have an ideological reason, and they have a greater good. To them, they're not making a silly anime. They're making a social statement, you see.
Ugh.
And that's far more important than some dumbass piece of entertainment.
That's cringe.
Yes, but that's how it is. That's how it be.
Unless it's like, War Game Red Dragon, where it's like, okay, China fights America, and that's like the idea behind it. Like, whatever. Like, that there can be a little bit of contemporary stuff in there. But if it's like a fantasy setting, per se, Lord of the Rings, right? I don't want to see contemporary politics in my Lord of the Rings. I certainly don't think Tolkien would like to be used for that either.
No, I vehemently agree. I hope there's as much retarded shit in the new Lord of the Rings TV show as humanly possible.
No. See, I just want it to get canceled. I want it to be canceled, and who knows, maybe it's like actually makes sense, and it's all like super cool, and
if GW is gonna die, Lord of the Rings doesn't deserve to live either.
Look at you. You and your little tantrum. And I never wanted... Look, I want GW to...
Yes, you did, you lying slutcake.
I have said that
even
times.
You couldn't maintain the lie.
I have said that the Warhammer fandom should be purged, and I do think that it would actually benefit from it, okay? If GW died, that would be good for Warhammer. It would mean that literally either the IP just sits under somebody's butt forever and doesn't do anything, which is better than what it's doing right now, or it's bought by Disney and they make it woke, which is still better than what GW is doing. Like, there's no losing here.
Remember, dear viewer, there is no shame in going to Kyle's channel and downvoting like every video.
As long as, firstly, you can't say stuff like that. Secondly, rude. Thirdly, fuck you.
There's no shame. It's only hurting the abuser back.
Don't downvote. Only if you're not gonna be. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, don't watch it. You don't have to enjoy the bickering. The bickering bunch can enjoy you instead. And your pseudo guest part of it. Like today, we're playing Wargame Red Dragon, aren't we? Yeah. We'll be beating the crap out of ketchup again.
We're playing China Red Dragon. I'm going to do the Mongolian accent all the way through.
I'm going to hold you to that. I don't think you're going to survive. Oh, we're doing 1980s China decks. Oh, God.
1980s Red Dragons, yes. China and North Korea. It will be quite the thing.
T-34s, ho!
85s. Jackson Kai, best case outcome 50 years from now, it's all these companies go belly up and become public domain like Lovecraft stories. The best works are fan-made. That would be great. We would then have some interesting takes on it, but it's worth the sacrifice. Olav Övrebro, Kirioth declared recently that he will be diversifying his channel with other games, not putting all his eggs in the same basket. I think if Valorant and Co did the same, that might be far more effective than any boycott. Effective? No, because at the end of the day, content creators like us are a small but steady trickle of good advertisement. It's not like a single massive thing like Astartes was, but absolutely, I highly recommend everyone to diversify their portfolio.
Yes.
Because 40k is... the creators want to see it dead.
Yeah, to other Warhammer channels, it would be a good idea to start getting your own contingency plans and start producing other content. You can still produce your Warhammer content, but don't get attached to it at this point. As much as I loathe your pathetic fandom, you should try to not get yourself deleted. Nobody deserves to have their channels taken away and all that hard work, in my opinion. Regardless of who you are, your views, and whether or not I like you or not. Everyone deserves their channel.
There.
Everybody deserves their stuff. Everybody deserves their space. Everyone always has, in my opinion.
Wargame341 asks, thoughts on Warhammer Armies project? I think it is probably a good idea. Especially considering what they're currently doing to Warhammer itself, where they are trying to Age of Sigmar it, frankly. You know, that's not good. I don't think the new Warhammer is going to be a good one. I think it is going to be Age of Sigmar with a different coat of paint. And I think it's going to be kind of awful. So I think unofficial army books and continuing to keep the flame alight, so to say, through unofficial content is a very good thing. I think they should keep up with it until GW eventually discovers and goes, we've sued everybody else. So why not? Sadness. But yes, they're good people, and they are doing good work, and they should continue doing good work. Ed Chimera, get some BattleTech, fam. Listen, you and your dumbass little walking robots will never be popular, alright?
That's false. BattleTech at one point was actually super popular. You know what I really wish? I really wish, if I get rich off our own IP, I'm gonna buy a couple of those battle pods, and when I eventually fly this mountain monkey over here, so I can enjoy the hills and endless plains and boringness of the Great Plains, we could play the battle pods. I've always wanted to try those things. They're so cool. It's like a little pod you crawl into, and then you play in it. It's like, wow, that's so stupid but amazing at the same time.
That's really dumb.
It's to make it simulated and feel like you're in an actual mech. That's the idea behind it. Give it a thematic feel.
A Star Wars battle pod, so something completely different. How much does it cost?
Star Wars?
No, they don't even want to put the price on it. That makes me sad.
Battle pods. Star Wars has them?
See, I'm sure I could buy one of these and just put it in my living room and just have it sit there and be like, yes, this is a very large, useless thing, and it's quite expensive, but, you know, let's go.
I mean, you can buy those things. They're pretty cool. The BattleTech pods, I'll Google them. There they aren't yet.
Juggernaut Demon, Warhammer cucks are worse than Blizzard cucks. They'll justify anything as long as they get to buy their insanely overpriced books and plastics. Yes, kind of. Like, I've got one video that I'm gonna have to make fairly soon, which I'm just gonna show you the people that actually defend Games Workshop over doing this, and surprise, surprise, they're leftists. Of course they are. Because they look at a corporation, and they're just like, step on me, daddy. That is their response. The normal response to pretty much everything. Jackson Kai, hardcore fans, why do you keep buying it? Casual fans, because it's easy and it does a lot of damage. Yes, precisely. Exactly. And there's no way you can argue against that. You will never get a casual fan to be like, why are you buying that ridiculously overpowered thing? Because it's overpowered. That is a fine argument. That is an internally consistent argument. It is an argument for which you have no counter-argument beyond, please don't, you're ruining the fandom. And they're just like, I've just been here for 5 minutes. Why do I care?
Yeah. Pretty much. Sad, but true.
Glowy says, GW and other entertainment companies are looking for corporate cultists. That's why they hate you, Arch. You're willing to say negative things about it. Corporate cultists, GW can do nothing wrong. All their products are great. That is a disturbing part of modern day consumer culture, yes. We have far too many corporate fanboys, which is... It's such a ridiculous idea. And I used to be a little bit like that. I used to be like, Bethesda can do no wrong. I'll just pre-order any Bethesda game because Bethesda are good people.
Trust.
Then they made Fallout the exact same game like 3 times, and then I changed my mind.
It's like, this isn't Fallout. It's not even the same perspective. And they're like, it's Oblivion's engine, but just reskinned. Or actually, Morrowind's engine. Technically, I think if I remember right, reskinned because it's cheaper this way. It's like, you cheap sons of bitches.
But they are right. It is cheaper that way.
It is cheaper. Like, it's the same thing with Warscape and engines as a whole. Like, they just keep reusing the same engine because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And while there's validity behind that, there comes a point in which it's like, okay, yeah, but some of the problems are really starting to surface, and maybe it's time to address them at the very least, or fix them somehow with a new engine.
No. It's still selling.
Dreadful. Dreadful.
Aura Sunlight says, there is a good reason why Total War Warhammer dev make a note to say that they have no plans for Total War Warhammer 3 to have anything to do with the end times. Yes. One of the few wise decisions that even Creative Assembly can make. Like, if CA is looking at you and going like, dude, that's dumb. You have done something truly retarded.
That was,
and you need to be ashamed of yourself.
To quote what we said in like our 2016 podcast, or what you said, GW just wants to play it safe, and are totally content with playing it safe. They tried to experiment with Rome 2. That didn't work out. And so now they're scared, and they're just playing it safe, and people are consuming it when they play it safe. And they started this new cancerous policy of they told people from the get-go that Total War Warhammer is going to be broken up into 3 pieces. Okay, I'll give them that. I still hate it because it's actually a scam as all hell. Like, $60 is already a scam price for a AAA title. Like, the industry's been lying to people for a long time about that. And the other thing is, then they start doing it to other games where they said they wouldn't, like Three Kingdoms. Three Kingdoms is now going to be an iterative like game as well, where they're going to sell the rest of it in separate games, so they can charge $60 again. It's so scummy. I hate that. There's no excuse. They got away with it,
didn't they?
They got away with it with Total War Warhammer, and now they're going to do it to everything else.
That's the excuse, Kyle. They got away with it. That's a perfectly valid excuse.
People not only got excuse. Out, not only did Total War Warhammer get away with cutting content, removing basically removing core mechanics, but people defended them. Especially the biggest people at fault here are the Warhammer fans. Thank you for killing one of my favorite franchises. You incessant little shits came into the Total War fandom, be like, well, it's better than GW. Yeah, but it's not up to Total War standards. We deserve better. We shouldn't be treated like cattle to be milked. This isn't the okay behavior. And they're all like, we're used to being milked, so it's not that bad. It's like, it's pretty bad. Now it's spreading to every other game. It's not going to affect any other game. It's just going to be Total War Warhammer. Now they're doing it to every one of their games. Fuck you. Fuck you for saying it wouldn't do anything. It's a specific group of the fandom that bothers me with that. For they defended that stuff. For no reason. Oh. People have like you said, people have a ridiculous, like, tribalistic outlook where they're like, corporation, logo, logo, flag, me, fight for logo. It's like, logo don't fight for you.
All of it. Fight for corporation, yes.
Corporate wars, here we go.
Make me happy.
I'm gonna die for my creative assembly. What the hell?
McCarthy did not uninstall, says someone who wants to get me in trouble. The people at Games Workshop and The Guardian are horrible people. I wonder if what happened to McCarthy and Epstein might occur to them in Roblox. They died natural deaths. It's fine. It's not a problem. McCarthy offed himself. That's simply how it is, YouTube. I'm not questioning. Moving nicely on. Screw the FBI, says somebody else who wants to get me in trouble. Who the hell trusts the FBI for any law enforcement? They are too busy plotting Governor Whitmer kidnapping, prosecuting 500 protesters over 6 months, as well as exceeding the search warrant and using civil asset forfeiture to steal $80 million. I agree, Kyle's country is a terrible place, and the Mujahideen should have won.
Mujahideen, or whatever it's called?
Yes. In fact, they did win. I sent you the picture.
Oh,
did you see it? The yes. Taliban were reproducing like the Iwo Jima flag racing thing.
Like, see, the thing is, if you just try to... It's like, who really won in this case? If you're trying to imitate us, like, oh, she...
I think that was very based of them. It's like, haha, America, look at this. It's like, okay, little sand people, that's kind of funny. I agree.
Here, I'll pull it up. Here's the picture of Iwo Jima flag raising. This is the Taliban literally trying to copy it, but using a smaller flag and looking like absolute monkeyloids. Look at them.
Well, they make up for their somewhat lacking enthusiasm by the fact that all of their gear is American gear. They're like, who gave them that? Yeah, that's another question you might want to ask your intelligence
They
services
look
at some point.
very trained. CIA operatives, care to explain? No. No.
We only sold them a few hundred millions worth of guns, it's fine.
And trained them a little bit.
Maran Gatu, where do you purchase your Kyle? I can't find an ethical Kyle breeder near me. Will you now consider videos and other war game rules, e.g. bolt action? Your error there is looking for an ethical Kyle breeder. There is no ethical way to breed Kyles. It is a dark, dangerous, and disgusting secret art.
Secret art. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yosuya says, have you seen Furry Apocalypse by Flashgets? Black Templars versus Freaky Furry Xenos Freaks. Furry Pit is the latest. I have seen it.
That's funny.
And Prey Games Workshop don't see it.
No, actually, I think they have balls, unlike TTS. They'll probably stick up. Like, they're the ones who made that GW video, basically, like, attacking GW for the thing, like, ages ago. And, like, and the board being like, I have an idea, guys. What if we sell a Space Marine inside a Space Marine? Which is what they did.
Which is what they did. They did that. And then they re-released the Space Marines to be sold again. They did that.
They did that. They actually did it. Yeah, I think
It's
they've
quite
got
the thing, but they did that.
those guys have some serious balls. Like they're actually Chad lads, from what I've seen, and they'll probably stand up for their stuff rather than kowtow and bend over for the corporate overlords.
And again, I would love to see GW in court trying to argue why Black Templars killing furries is a part of their IP and totally not parody. That would be mildly amusing. Bad Dragonite, have you thought about going on Rikita Law's show or having him on to talk about the legal side since he's a huge 40k fan? I have been invited on his show multiple times, but by other people who are like, he wants you on. Like, he has my Discord. Like, the bastard needs to get out and fucking go like, oh, where would you like to come onto this time?
On it, the bastard. They won't be long before he's like that little piece of...
pretty much. I have been told that he is apparently tech inept, so I'm going to use that as the excuse.
He's just like Dev. Dev is a great person sometimes. We need time to cancel Dev. Dev, your career's over. Dev will often be like, we should do stuff. And be like, okay, when? And then he'll never say anything. Or he still doesn't respond to my DM. I don't even bother. Like, no offense to Dev or YouTubers like that, but anybody who does the whole, like, we should do something, but then they're like, they never follow up on that. I'm like, all right, I'm moving on. Like, I don't care. It's like, just either do something or don't. Like, don't leave me hanging. Like, I'm just sitting there, like, waiting, like, come on. Like, I don't want to plan anything. Like, no, I ain't doing that. I've done that before, and I ain't doing that again. We don't sit around and wait, we act.
Glowy says, not only did Warhammer fandom throw Arch under the bus, they chained him to the wheel. Those aren't speed bumps for GW, that's Arch. That's cruel. That's mean.
I like the part where
Copyright Issues says, the problem with copyright law in the US is that if it goes by case basis, and if you don't take to court, it's the de facto the law in this case is set by GW. I hate most of Warhammer YouTuber as they are soy-filled authoritarian cucks that hate cucks. Cucks that hate cucks. But he is right there. That is one of the things in the US you can pretty much legislate via terms of service because you have to challenge it. On the other hand, you also technically don't have the copyright over anything until you defended it in court. So it's one of those very weird kind of things. Very weird kind of things. The US is a terrible country that deserves the Mujahideen making fun of them. True. Sujad says, the BL writers are all bleeding heart feminists. They'll probably be the weak point if people start criticizing them for working with GW considering how GW are behaving. Maybe. But, don't go through it. Oh, no, go to some of them. Go after ADB every time you write something for loyalists, because he should be chained to a desk and kept away from that at any bloody cost. Nathan Hildeman, Keeb, where is a good place to start with BattleTech lore?
There is a YouTuber by the name of Black Pants Legion. I don't really recommend my lore videos anymore because I'm not going to be doing them, so I'm not going to be carrying the series on. But the one I do know of is Black Pants Legion. Black Pants Legion. His name is Tex in Tex Talks, but his channel is called Black Pants Legion. I'm making a very clear note of saying that because people are like, oh yeah, you should go watch Tex. I see people saying like, I can't find him. It's like, yeah, because the channel's not called Tex. It's called Black Pants Legion. He does a bunch of other stuff, but he recently started doing BattleTech lore, and he's pretty damn good at it. In fact, I would say he's probably one of the best. It's the most polished. Most polished I've ever seen for the BattleTech IP.
You're recommending black shirts. I don't know about this.
Black Pants Legion. His logo's a little pants. Here, you know what? I'll pull up the channel so people can see what it looks like, just so they know.
Black shirts. Much disavow.
That's Black Pants Legion.
Much disavow. Crazy Loon says, I first learned about Warhammer from Space Marine. From there, I got to Vaults of Terror from searching on YouTube. That got me interested in lore. Then I found you and your way of doing lore videos and made me fall in love. That is very nice to hear, Crazy Loon. That is a good thing. Vaults of Terror. That was the original lore channel, which I think has been dead now for a few years, but such is history. Victor Salazar says, the first time I've got into Warhammer was through watching walkthrough videos of Dawn War 2 in my early teen years. At the moment, I didn't know there was a fantasy version of it. Good times and screw GW. Indeed. Warhammer. Warhammer got a bad rep. Despite they got the first video games too, I think. Raptorosaurus RTG. It's still X is a mentality I don't get. I have a friend who keeps repeating, well, it's still Star Wars and I have to support Star Wars. But is it? He's fighting for a bastardized version of it, which is mediocre at best. I entirely agree. It's not. Like, current day Star Wars is not Star Wars. It is simply just not Star Wars. And it should be roundly ridiculed as something that is not Star Wars. Crazy Loon, it's still Warhammer, they say, at the point the insane psycho who murdered Warhammer then decided to wear it as a skin suit. That is pretty much where we are at. Oh, Jesus. I just accidentally scrolled down and saw how many more super chats active today, chat, aren't we?
Good.
Well, I told Fuzzy to be like, we'll play a war game in an hour. Well, Fuzzy, sit your ass down.
We're not. And Fuzzfuck will wait like a good little bitch. He's like sitting there listening and chat like, hey, you keep
Probably. Joseph Cudovan says, SJWs are big fans of the white man's burden. They consider it our responsibility to drag the wretched losers into a position of equality. Kipling. Spicy little writer. I cannot say otherwise. Very spicy. Hiccups? More hiccups. I'm done with the hiccups. Maran Gatu. There are full modules for Saga in TTS Simulator. Consider trying it with Kibs. Dead easy to learn and quite a nice system. For Saga. Saga? Saga? Saga?
You keep them entertained. You reminded me to schedule our war game stream. I had forgotten.
Well, don't schedule it too schedule-y, I guess.
I mean, I'll just adjust the time, because whenever we properly end it.
Jackson Kai just want to say I disavow 3D printers as well at Etsy. Fantastic stuff on there. The GW would never sell dirt cheap. Definitely don't buy those. I agree. I too vehemently disavow stuff like, warrior dudes in power armor being sold for a third of the price on random websites with much better policies. I very much so disavow these creations. They are certainly not worthy of your time or effort, despite the better price, the often better service, the better delivery conditions. Never mind any of that.
Never mind.
Never
Yes.
mind all of those things. They're very bad. You wouldn't take, like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you? If you hurt no one except GW.
Oh my gosh! Like, see, as an anti-piracy agent, I can safely say that most anti-piracy is always done the wrong way. Like DRM, stupid, dumb, never use it. You're only gonna punish your actual consumer base. Like, what are you doing? Like, there are proper methods to anti-piracy, but a lot of them are like, I want an easy automated solution. No, never automate that. That's a terrible idea. Like, we'll just put on DRM. Yeah, now you're affecting the quality of your own product. What are you doing? Think, developer, think.
There was a thing quite recently where they put DRM in that latest zombie shooter thing game. You know, the ones with the zombies and the shooting and the pew pew and the tall lady and stuff.
Oh, yeah, Resident Evil. Yeah, we actually streamed that, I forgot.
Was that the name of that series?
Resident
it has
Evil.
zombies.
Yeah.
That's
Village.
what I know.
Village, that's the one. Resident Evil Village. I had to remember what it was called.
Okay, zombies and shooty stuff. That apparently dipped the frame rate into the floor in certain areas because the DRM would start printing screens and it would be just like, okay, the frame rate for this scene should be 7,000 bajillion trillion. It's like, computer just looks at it. Are you sure about that? Yes. Certain. Yes. Okay. And off it went. Oh well, at least they didn't burn out people's graphic cards like a New World did. Though that was apparently a false rumor as well, so screw you, Bubbles, for telling me this, you vile, filthy miscreant coxicle.
I think, well, see, Bubbles read an article saying, doesn't it do that? And then we were seeing people in chat complain about that. I don't think Bubbles said that it did, though. But I'd have to rewatch
I think
the
Bubbles
stream.
takes the blame. I think he accepts it. I think he kind of revels in it, actually. New Mechanicus, Tech, I still don't really think 40k is a casual IP. It's not an easy thing to describe to new people, and it was mainly the fans that kept it going. I would agree insofar that, no, it's not a proper casual IP. And I do believe that is one of the reasons why it's going to have a very hard time getting out of the plastic thing, I think. Because I do believe that they're going to run into some pretty damn hefty hurdles fairly quickly. Once they've managed to kill their fan base, which is, again, what I absolutely think they're trying to do right now, they are going to end up in a situation where they're going to be looking around themselves and going, hold on, where's all of the people that used to push this stuff? Where's all of the fan engagements? Where are the people willing to pay $6 for a bloody pot of paint? But that is a piece of tush beating for their future. Yes. They shall have to learn about that sadness on their bloody well own, aren't they? Lancelot652 says, Kibbs is a lawyer. Arch, they know no passion or, love. Hashtag breed Kibbs. He's not a lawyer. He's not intelligent enough.
No. Agent. A copyright enforcer, not a lawyer. We actually have a legal team that handles the proper legal crap. I just do the enforcing action, which is just like the one who sends the stuff and, gets the channels taken down. The actual legal end is handled by the legal team. I am not a lawyer.
is semi-skilled labor. That's what he is. Semi-skilled machine operators. The monkey that presses the keys.
I press the button that shoots the bullets. Or the bombs. If you want to call it that.
Semi-skilled machine operator. Yes, I like that description. I shall use it more often. Crazy Loon. Funny thing is, Arch, I think you were wanting GW to sanction it and support it. I think they heard you but decided to interpret it as bring him on board and threaten everyone else to join or die. I mean, that is part of the thing, wasn't it? I have this one screenshot of a Facebook post from one of the big left-wing groups, who's like, you two, like, content creators look for a reason to be angry about GW hiring these people, and I saved that immediately because I'm like, this is going to age like fine milk. And, voila, it did. Swift Nation, my dearest overlord, my emperor and deity, I like this guy, I beg you, I am down on my knees. I shall sacrifice 1,000,000 Swedes in your name. Please, for all that is good in his world, for the sake of those that know not his glory. Second super chat. I ask only one thing of you. Please make a lore video on the one who recalls the lessons passed onto the sons. He who remembers the greatest of the Emperor's children, the Ancient of Rice, Rylanor. I know there's not too much. Rylanor.
Rylanor.
Maybe?
Why sounds almost Star Warsy.
Because Star Wars is a pathetic rip-off entity, that's why. Now, Rylanor the Ancient. He's a good point.
Will like Star Wars, Arch. I will make you like it. That's right. No.
Rylanor is a good boy. And then he died.
And did you Google it? Is that why you know?
No, Rylanor dead. Rylanor died. He's one of those characters that was really cool and had a really cool history and had some really cool stuff written about him, because he was basically a loyalist emperor's children that continued on for like 10,000 years trying to kill Fulgrim. And a lot of it was so awesome, and then he just kind of dies, and you're just like, okay. Is that... was that it? Yeah. Yep, that was it. Oh well.
Oh well.
Pretty much. Joseph Kurvan, I like 40K, but the novels are overpriced for the quality of the writing. Some of them are very good. Some of them are really good. Like the Cypher's Kane series, excellent stuff. Really humorous. The Gaunt's Ghost novels, not the first 3 books, but the latest, very good. Very good. Swift Nation also says, hi, his story is not long, but it's beautiful and amazing, and he's one of the greatest in 40K. The String Storm song is beyond words. Thank you for listening to my plea, Overlord. Hashtag Bridkibs. We shall see. Maybe. Possibly. Kinda. Zazog. The fundamental problem is copyright. You should not be able to own an idea because ideas are not finite in supply. Wokeism would not be able to steal our culture if there was not a thing.
That's not quite what they're doing, though. Because, like, it's more like they're... So, how IP is like, okay, Daggerfall. I'm not saying that because of what I see on my screen. Daggerfall is part of, like, the Elder Scrolls universe. It's a very specific thing. It's not just like, oh, you know, daggers are copyrighted. You know, it's the Elder Scrolls world and the characters in it and the landscape and the races and that whole thing. They don't own elves. They don't own orcs. They own rights to the Elder Scrolls world. The idea of the world. That's the idea. Like in the case of my own IP, it's like I own the Legends of Terrestrial IP. That's the world of it. I don't actually own like the red tunics that the characters wear. Like I don't own gladiuses or swords. Like that's not how that works. There's swords in it, but it's about the overall encompassing idea that makes like an umbrella, if you will, around it. The universe, if you can consider it that way or think of it that way. Like Star Wars, you know? Space wizards with glowy sticks is not copyrighted. It's Jedi, Sith, and the ideas thereof. It's a little bit more specific. You can still have a glowy stick wizard in another IP. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I need validation, damn it. Or just paying attention. That's why. You sort of get what I mean, though. Come on. Or you didn't DC, did you? You're...
Bad Kyle.
Okay, I was trying to stall, because I thought he did for a second.
No, but yes, I do agree that the fundamental problem is copyright, but you can own an idea because there is universes that can be created, but I do think we need more universes, and it needs to be more difficult to co-opt in the way. But that is also very much a fan duty to make that more difficult, sadly. We cannot trust the companies to do it for us, and we cannot trust the government to do it for us either.
It is the company's responsibility, actually, because in our studio, we actually adopted a mentality. It basically, in Battle Damage Studios, we curate the people we recruit into the project. You're not just let in. You need to have the skill to do it, and you need to have the proper mindset. I don't want people to come in and subvert, the dream before it gets there and start inserting contemporary politics. We have to, what's the word? Not curate, vet people. And so we vet them. Make sure they have the proper skills, the proper, as long as they have the skills and they're not, one of those developers, the ones, if anyone's in the indie industry, you can always tell them a mile away. Pronouns in a bio is a great way to be skimmed, I will say that much. You see pronouns in the bio and you're like, yeah, next. Personally, I prefer to hire from fans. Hiring fans is the best way to do it because you have an already established connection. Hiring randoms, not so, it's 50-50, it's a little bit messy, but hiring through nepotism is a good way to find new people, I find, which is strange because I always thought that was
hiring through nepotism. Kyle, go back into your closet now.
No, it's tiny and scary in there.
New Mechanicus Tech says, save the planet, stop cow farts. No, cows tasty. Keep them around.
I do want some meat.
Juggernaut Demon. The California banning high-end PC stuff was utter clickbait nonsense. The issue was pre-made PCs, and the appliances using far too much power in standby mode. It doesn't affect the PC do-it-yourself market in any way. Oh, well, there you go. I did not look into it. I just saw it, people being posting it, but I guess it was one of those things then where people were overacting a little bit. Wouldn't surprise me. It's probably something I heard from Kyle. Yes, Kyle's probably the one to mention it. Blame him. Nr13, Arch, you should go on Viva Frey about this. Viva Frey. I don't know what that is. We make many assumptions that we know what things are. We do not. A Canadian lawyer. Canadians. Don't know about that. YouTube channel. Huh. Well, I will go on almost anything, so long as I'm invited, I guess. That's the thing. I am not big enough of a channel here on the ArchCast to just wander up to random people and be like, give.
I mean, you're getting there.
Getting there. But that will be in the future. Jay Roller, Elder Scrolls has a tabletop game too. Look it up. I'd rather not. I've seen what Elder Scrolls has done to itself by MMOs. Kill Team Hungary. As a Kill Team focused channel, I cancelled my pre-order of Kill Team Octarius box and also not going to sub to Warhammer Plus. Moving to Gaslands Refueled. Good for you. That is the correct way to do it. Find something else to do, something else you're interested in, and keep covering it. Ringax, why haven't you two just made your own IP yet? On a separate note, everyone should enter public domain after like 20 years and no exception. Bit more than 20 years. Like I would probably say maybe lifetime, and maybe that's it, or maybe 50 years, because it's got to be a while. You need to be able to get your money's worth out of it. Maybe even like 50 years after you hit a certain income target. Like once you've earned the patent costs plus X, maybe? I don't know. It would be a longer conversation, and I have to think about it a lot more, but absolutely, again, there needs to be reworking of copyright law, and definitely public property needs to be a big, big rework as well.
Yeah.
Ed Chimera, Mauler, Mech versus Imperial Knight, Porphyrion, Derp versus Derp.
You missed...
Derp is good.
You missed answering one of his questions, though, about both the IPs. Now, I already said that I'm working on mine, but what about yours?
That was because it was incredibly irrelevant.
What about yours, Arch?
Because Kyle has a little IP. It's tiny. It has naked children.
I'm not talking about mine. I'm talking about...
Kyle, I don't have an IP.
Arch is like, sweet. Fine, that's how you're gonna be, you little weasel. Just keep asking that question. He'll break
Yes,
eventually.
keep asking that question in super chat form.
Arch's like, I'm okay with this. Also, don't you messaged me about one super chat that started before the stream.
What? I already read that, you little ignoramus.
I'm just making sure that nobody gets left behind.
Kyle, you should have been left behind. Frosty Guns 55. They are Lutzen's, the fans, so why not just Lutzers and Mac? Wag! I love you, Arch. Is there any way we can start a class action against GW? No.
No.
I don't think so. What would we sue them for?
Be like, you hurt my pee-pee.
Like, I mean, it is the current year, so I wouldn't say that would be entirely impossible.
They
but
discriminated
unlikely.
against me. I love the idea. They did, though. They made a statement.
They did.
They actually did discriminate. I forgot about that. Warhammer is not. You're not welcome in our community because you're brown. DW. Basically. Your opinion is a different color than mine.
Basically, with modifications. Ichiru, bet if you made mech pilots anime girls, Arch would sing praise for BattleTech. Look up Paramount vs. Axonor for fan project rights law example. I'll tell you this much. If we ever, for some strange reason, perhaps move over to doing other lore videos with lots of awesome-ass animations and 2D backgrounds and cool shit, not saying that we'll ever do that, of course, but if such a thing were ever to happen, and we do BattleTech, it's going to be nothing but anime waifus. I don't give a crap what the law says. It's all anime waifus.
Arch isn't being descriptive for a reason.
Every mech is a half-naked woman with a ginormous gun. Like, it's literally going to be like, yes. You know those little drawings where the Mad Cat is a chick with a rocket launcher? That's BattleTech.
Yeah, that is BattleTech.
That is BattleTech.
Catalyst Games Labs
Waifu Tech.
Basically says, like, yes to these things. They like their fans.
Waifu Tech.
CGL may not be perfect and everything, because God help them, they made the Republic of the Sphere lore. Ugh. And they also canonized the House Arano from the BattleTech HBS game. Ugh. But, you know, there's no such thing as perfect. We all have flaws. You know?
I really liked Brown Waifu. Why couldn't Brown Waifu live? That was the true tragedy. Charles Nr13 says, Arch, you're letting a furry call you a bitch over changing your name. It's not too late to change your name back. Furries? Oh, if they're furries, it's fine. There
are no furries.
They have
in
many problems in their lives.
We have one furry that we're going to have to indulge in our Wargame Red Dragon play, and that's assuming Traitor Doge shows up.
That's assuming we're gonna play Wargame Red Dragon at this bloody rate.
Yeah, that's very true.
Synod. Looks like Warhammer isn't for everyone. That's true. It's not for everyone. Well, first and foremost, it's only for people who are willing to sell a liver to actually play a tabletop wargame, but that being besides the point.
You have a different
Average
opinion than me?
Estonian. Some shekels to Archer's war chest. Thank you very much. Shekels. Kiss or Kistar. The names get weirder and weirder. Love you guys. Can't catch live today, but we'll watch later. Watching EFAP absolutely roast Hassan. America deserved 9/11 Piker. Keep up with the fight. Hassan Piker. See, I can't really blame you because he is quite the fanciful little lol cow he is. Then again, America did definitely deserve it. And it's just should have been aimed at Minnesota. Michigan? Missouri? Where the hell did you live again?
He's like, let me just start going around it. Minnesota's not a... It's a bad state. I can't defend it. We're retarded. Probably because we have a lot of Scandinavians.
Kimps is mad because he's an American. Arch is forgiving because he's cuck. Hence, his love of NTR. That's cruel. NTR is hilarious.
That's true. He's got you there. Arch like, shit.
NTR gets a bad rep. NTR is bloody funny, and you know it is. But it's not, though. Yes, it is.
I regret having that vote. It's like, Have a vote on what your mascot should be after Lurking Hunger. Who wins? Hands down. My old mascot? No. The Aerith one. And ever since then, now that Lurking Hunger's faded from people's memory, no longer like, haha, that's Aerith. Now they're like, haha, that's a furry. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. It's not my fault that you chose to represent yourself on the internet as a furry woman, Kyle.
If I have another vote, it's just gonna be the same one. Just to spite me, there's no winning. It's what you get when you allow democracy to happen.
Ace 1918, I've decided to take a stand by making Warhammer 40k fan animations just to bait GW into screwing themselves over on their IP guidelines. See, that would be funny. That is actually quite amusing. Making fan animations just to piss on GW. I see the appeal. I very much so do. Gunnerfolk61, purge Kyle with a lava pit. Please lower him very slowly into the pit for his heresy. Cruelness. I approve. Erosio. Arch more Asian accent is great and happy making. Yes. The Asian art of war is send men at the enemy guns. They will run out of ammunition before we run out of yellow people.
This is funny. Okay, listen. Chat. Somebody in chat says hashtag
My
spit
goddamn
kips.
throat is already giving out.
Listen. Hashtag spit kips. Why is this funny? It reminds me of World of Warcraft. They're removing the hashtag spit thing that you could do with people because it's toxic. Because you could spit at people. Like that was part of the fun when you killed somebody. You just like / spit at them. That's what you get.
Kyle was one of those people. Jack the Outcast says, it makes me sad that the GW is doing this. I've been playing Warhammer 40k since 4th edition. I want the plastic Deathcore and Orc Commandos, and they pull this. Yes. They always do it when they have something good, don't they? Dirty scoundrels they are. The Wall. I have an idea for a new science fiction franchise. However, I want to get a hold of the people who control the Elric IP so I can use their chaos symbol and stick it to GW. It would be mildly amusing if you could actually acquire a real copyright of the Elric chaos symbol and then knock on GW's door and be like, actually, you stole my IP.
You're like, oh shit.
That would be quite funny. That would be quite funny. And they'd just be like, I mean, we did, but
for GW,
could you not sue us for this?
They're like, we like
it
to.
Was so many years ago. Could you just let us go?
Oh, G-dubs, you need to be purged.
Would be mildly amusing, can't lie. Now, all DW, me, piss off. I have permission for the guys who actually own it. Yep. I mean, it's literally correct. Abdi Muhammad, why does everyone want to breed the Kyle dude? I don't get it. Is he known for his sexual services? Yes.
No,
yes, he is.
This is the meme he started.
This is incorrect. Kyle is wildly famed on the internet for one, being a furry cat girl. Just look at him. Like that is I was like, oh, maybe we could rip off Sargon and do like a live studio where we have like,
you wanted to use
stuff.
My actual face, and I'm like, no.
And what did Kyle say?
No
he
face.
says, no, I'd rather be a furry cat girl on the internet.
Listen, okay? For me, personally, my thing about YouTube is I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, Kibs, you're cool. I want them to treat me like a normal person. So I use my mascot to cover me.
So they'll treat you like a furry.
So people aren't like, I don't want to be put on a pedestal, because that happened once, and I don't like that.
Yes.
I hate that shite.
A pedestal.
But I understand. It's just scientifically confusing to me. I used to actually do like skits and stuff. The real cringe. I don't
want to know any of this.
I even have under my I don't know, somewhere there's like a bunch of like in a box full of like different outfits and stuff. My god outfit was pretty great. I liked that one. That was for black and white. I missed that. The beard was so painfully itchy. I think I was allergic to something in that Chinese stuff.
Disavow.
Have you read them all? What's the silence? Come on. Let's go,
The
Grandpa.
Goof 171. Sigma's balls. I roll to throw shit at GW. Good. Good. Throw things at their door. New Mechanicus Tech. GW actually target non-safe for work art. Some koofing Rembrandts of 40k art. Big Milky Tech Priest and Dark Eldar Tomboys are canon. There you go. Something good came from it at least. Abdi Muhammad says, also Gib wrench because I collect wrenches. You're gonna have to pay a lot more than $5 for a wrench. 5,000 and I'll be like, fine. And then I'll take it away the next second. Desert Hamster, my graphics card got burned by the New World. Kyle, you lied to me. It wasn't a myth after all.
I didn't say it was a myth.
You did.
When?
No.
I just said that Bubbles, I don't think, said that.
No, you said it.
Archie's like,
you said it.
You were the one who said that, actually. Hold on a second. You're trying to... You're like, oh, Kib did it.
He did it. Glow in the Dark says, Kibbs, let's do something. I get back to you between 6 business days to 3 years.
My God.
Devil King in 1994. Dan and Paul made a great 40k song that almost made me forget how hard we're getting screwed by GW. Well, almost, but only for a moment, though. Only for like 4 minutes, and then you're back to reality again. Queen Nidus. People need to continue pumping out Warhammer content, have it be struck by GW, and continue to defy them at every turn. The more GW strikes it down, the more they kill their reputation. Also, not safe for work, lots as in Blizzard lots. Just lots of 40k pornography. I wouldn't necessarily mind. Just all of the Overwatch porn. Yes, yes. So John, Arch, if you commission 40k art, can GW sue or whatever you or the artist for that? Theoretically, yes, but they wouldn't launch to a suit. There would be a cease and desist first. That would be the usual order of things. Or they'd simply just ask YouTube to take it down. And YouTube, being YouTube, would probably just go like, yes, massa. In all due likelihood.
Maybe.
Dan Creedy, GW will change their stance once it begins to affect the bottom line. However, it is up to the fan creators to stand strong and not bend the knee. Lucky I changed to infinity, but needs more lore. Well, we'll see what happens also then now. Best Card Armor, I want to thank you, Arch, for starting my journey with 40k after I gave up on Star Wars after Disney axed the extended universe. GW owes you and other creators much. They do, but do they know this? No. Will they recognize it? No. Sadness creeps upon me. Artemis Fowl, Kyle, you may not know this, Arch, but I was kinda a big deal.
When did I say that? I've never been a big deal. I've always been pretty obscure.
You probably say that. You probably did say that. In fact, I think I remember you saying that at some point.
My old channel was tiny. Tinier than my new channel, which is much bigger, which is also still tiny. Just like, what, 5K? And the other one was like 1.4?
Mikkel Jensen for 200 Danish kroners. Denmark. Denmark is better than Sweden. You may live. Thank you, Arch, so much for all the amazing Warhammer lore videos that you have uploaded over the years. You are very welcome. And Glow in the Dark. Kyle, I liked dressing up. He is giving us a hint. He is.
No.
Disavow.
It was fun to make those, because what I was trying to do when I did those...
It was fun to cross-dress,
No,
huh,
no.
It was fun to cross-dress,
I've never done that. Like, the whole skit thing, I remember, like, as a little kid seeing Angry Video Game Nerd and seeing, like, you know, I like the idea of the derpy, dumb skits with, like... that. And I always wanted to do more of that, but like I never had any friends that wanted to. And I was like, God damn
I always
it.
wanted to dress up like a woman more often, but I didn't have any friends. Kyle, at the 1st of August, 2021.
The only time I've ever said anything I was intoxicated, and that was chat being like, what would you do? What would it take to dress up as Aerith? And I'm like 1 million subscribers. Because I knew that would never happen. Even in my intoxicated state, I was wise and coherent enough to know that that's an impossibility. I'm safe. I will die. Probably under 100k subs. More than likely. I give it a high chance. I almost 100% chance, actually. I'm safe. I'm safe.
Bankrupt GW from Australia, and I hate what's happening. Scott Morrison and Gladys Berlijikin are both tyrants where they sent the Gestapo and the troops to enforce a lockdown against the beer virus and shut down protests and a health emergency. Bloody tyrants. Yes, Australia is a dictatorship, and that's just how it is. You voted for this shit. Like, well, not maybe you, but people in your country voted for this, and they need beatings. Frequent beatings. Yes. It is the only way. Not actually the only way, but it is seemingly the only way. Illinois, I will subvert Kibb's studio with pop cultural references and cheap gags.
Oof, cringe.
And lastly, Artemis Fowl. Kibbs has gay nude commissions of you and Kyle in his Discord. He even liked them. He has. I have seen them. He has bragged to me about them.
They are fan arts, and secondly, I always like fan art, no matter what it is, no matter the quality, because you can't not. If they put in the effort to draw that, which they did, they drew both of us as Fudas. That was it's very icky. But the fact that they actually put the effort and time in to do that has a certain level of respect to it. Even if
and the fact that you're a massive furry degenerate.
No, I'm not. You can look in the hashtag bickering hentai section of my Discord. It is not that bad. It's fairly tame.
He has a hentai section for his YouTube channel.
Listen, okay? I wanted to separate it from the regular fan art section.
He has made that much hentai of himself and his supposed friends.
Haven't. Supposed... Fuck you. Hashtag revenge for Strato. Nice. See, I made those separate distinctions because I like looking at the fan art, but sometimes I don't want to open the fan art section and see giant titties and peepees slapping things, and I'm like, maybe I just want to look at some fan art that isn't, sexual. Even though the other fan art section has other things in it. There's no winning. It's just a thing. It's what happens when you waifu everything. See, that's something I learned, because I was like, everything needs to be waifuified. Arch was waifuified. I made everyone into a waifu. The idea behind that is it'll make it more endearing to the degenerates, which will generate more fan art, which will in turn help generate a nice community. And it worked. It just had unexpected and unforeseen consequences that I could not account for at the time.
Pervert.
You don't approve.
That is all.
You don't approve.
Glow in the Dark says, how's the programmer sucks, Kyle?
The what? The what socks?
Programmer socks. How are the programmer socks?
Is that like a thigh stocking? That sounds gay. I'm not wearing a thigh stocking.
I don't know what your stockings are on about, Kyle, but I don't want to.
I actually don't wear socks. Like, ever.
That's pretty disgusting, too. Can't lie.
See, socks just make my feet itchy.
Right. Stop speaking. Now.
He's scared.
Nobody wanted that shit. I didn't want it either, and yet it happened. Such is life. It's a sad, miserable state of affairs. And finally, Brother Strato, hashtag revenge for Strato.
He's still mad about you killing him in World of Warships.
He
Not once,
it.
but like twice. He's like, because
he deserved it.
He kept trying to... We streamed World of Warships not that long ago, and Strato is on the other team, and Arch is blowing him up, and Strato's like, I wanted to kill Arch.
And final, Artemis Fowl. Somebody clipped Kibbs saying he likes all the gay art commissioned of him and Arch. Kibbs isn't telling you there is a male-on-male version he liked.
There's male-on-male art? No. It's actually...
Kyle, could you I don't know, go inside of a barn or something and just be inside of the barn for the rest of your life?
I haven't seen any male-on-male in there. Thankfully, we're lucky.
Lucky.
Could be
Lucky,
worse.
he says.
We could have inflation fetishes starts. What do we do about that? Like, how do we handle that? Suicide? Delete the server?
I have seen inflation fetish art of the Lion King.
Ugh.
That was
You said that
experience
to
art,
me.
I'll tell you
I
that much.
remember because Archer's like, I saw this. You see this.
You will see this too.
It
That was
was.
quite the thing. And just
No.
people fap to this. Like, man, that's fascinating in its own way. But now, stop right now, says chat. Just don't worry. At least I didn't mention. Let's see, merely inflation art. That's one thing. Come inflation. Oh, that's when it gets fucking dirty, my friends. Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. And two more. God damn it. Go on the dock. Gibbs wants his feet to be exposed for artists. Yes,
No.
he does. And Artemis Fowl, Kyle is so in the closet, his zip code is Narnia. Correct.
That's pretty funny. That's a good burn, but I hate you for it.
Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again next week on the next ArchCast, and of course tomorrow for the Skaven RP, where I'm basically going to be tossing these little monkeys headfirst into Warhammer Fantasy and watch them sink. It'll be funny. Now, have a good day, and thank you for all your generous donations. I was about to say subscriptions. See, I need an outro for this so I don't mess it up, so just... because I don't have an outro yet, blah blah blah, happy thoughts, noises, good night.